And in particular around the date, maybe. Interesting. Party substance card, badly aspected here with the Queen. That Queen of Swords can be a little tricky, right? And of course, we're talking about these evil demonics. So I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking this guy was into adrenochrome and or trafficked children for adrenochrome. That would make a lot of sense with a lot of things we know about him. Okay, so because I really doubt if this is saying people are celebrating. I mean, this community could be celebrating his passing, because finally, we get that off the table, so we can move on with some other things we need to get accomplished here. I mean, the White Hat Alliance, if it's true that they've been in charge and everything, they've been covering up for a long time these people's actual deaths. I believe it's because they've tribunaled these people, rounded them up a long time ago, and they've got some explaining to do before they can really come out with those truths. They're going to really have to catch some people up to speed, or it could be rioting in the streets over secret tribunals and killing a bunch of their spiritual leaders, and when in fact we know that these guys are adrenochrome peddlers, child traffickers, and just lizards in general. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so here we've got that Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords there, she is definitely trying to tell you something. Okay, she's very direct even in telling you. So there's some direct comms in his death. And I feel like, that would be one. It's around. And there is a lot of evidence that he, if not literally trafficked children himself, I believe all of these guys do, or they have some kind of control over the whole trafficking. Certainly, the Vatican is absolutely, like, it's full of tunneling underneath and going to all these different places. I believe it's a big trafficking hub. Okay, and this Three of Cups could also be talking about, just moving it around and this coming more to the foreground. Okay, so it's not all the way there yet, but I feel like his passing, there could be some big disclosure here around how the Vatican had a lot to do with trafficking children. There has been some leaked stories and even not so hidden stories about children disappearing right in and within the Vatican. Okay, but of course they cover so much. They've been covering up so much there. They cover up, and this particular Pope also always making excuses and covering up for all the pedophile priest activity. Just horrifying. Okay, and not just priests, by the way, nuns. Okay, there's stories about what happens with the nuns. And not only do they get targeted by the priests, raped and abused, okay, but in fact, visit that upon the young ones coming in. Just horrifying stuff. Just horrifying what's going on here. Okay, so here we've got the Page of Pentacles in the past. Okay, so all of that leading up to, and a whole different person. I feel like we didn't have the original Pope, but that card's telling me that. I feel like we didn't have the original. We had like Pope, number 8 or something. Who knows when they actually replaced that guy? Like, I feel like none of these people, a lot of these people throughout the movie here in the several years it's been playing itself out, maybe a lot longer than we thought. I feel like they've replaced a lot of these people several times. So let's even go back. Some people, you might want to do this in the comments. Go back even 10 years, have a look at this guy. He's probably changed several times. There was one actor that in particular looked just like him. I forget the guy's name, but like there's so much evidence that we're watching theater when we look at these people. But anyway, so yeah, there's comms here, and in particular it's calming, something to do with the trafficking and what they do to children and how they make adrenochrome. Now, I haven't seen that calm literally, other than, well, 88 being the tower could be like revelations about these things, but I haven't actually seen that So if anybody has anything around that coming out, or when it does come out, let's all keep our eyes open for that. Now we've got the King of Wands here. So we've got, now that's Trump in the white hat. So that's pretty interesting. And then in the near future, King of Wands. So he could even come out and say something. Remember when Trump went there and it looked like, so him, Ivanka, and Melania. Remember that picture of them? So I think I'm saying the right name for the daughter. So the daughter that he seems to really favor, okay, who's married to the Jewish guy. But anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. That daughter and his wife, so Trump's wife, Melania, and Trump. Remember that photograph where they're looking sort of stoic and even a little like not upset, the women, but kind of like stern. And then Trump's got a huge Cheshire cat looking grin on his face. And then the Pope is looking totally angry, like he's been caught, right? And then there was even those memes, and I don't know if they're true or not, probably part of the theater and the movie White Hat psyop stuff, where they've got a zoom in on Trump's hands. Yeah, that one. Thanks, Coco. She went and looked for it, where they got a zoom in on Trump's fingers, and he's playing fingers with the Pope, and very playfully, and the Pope's like totally like batting his hand away. It's so funny. Okay, so it tells you everything. Okay, and it also tells you what a great sense of humor the White Hats have. That these guys got it all on these people, and that's why Trump's grinning like that. That was in his big world tour where he went around and showed everybody what he had on them. That is likely the actor playing him. There's an actor that looks just like that. Okay, I forget the guy's name, but anyway, that's probably him. And because the real Pope, if that really was the real Pope, would have already been rounded up. Okay, because they already had everything on these guys. Okay, they rounded them all up, and it was some years ago. And I forget the time. It had to be 3, maybe 4 years ago now. And Jean-Claude and I reported on it. It was all the talk in the truther community where the Vatican was raided, and they cleared out all the bishops. And yeah, they just rounded everybody up. And that could have even been like part of the theater. And they could have even done this in 2017. Okay, so anyway, all of this is incredibly obvious to this community, but of course not obvious to other people in the world. But here we've got that King of Wands here, so we may even get Trump saying something really obvious. Like, of course, he did the whole political, saying nice things about the Pope after he passed kind of thing. But I got a feeling with this card here, he's going to say something that's a big hint towards who this guy really was here. So we'll watch for that, because that's saying, yeah, once they safely get on maybe the other side of, did you notice the funeral literally looked like a demonic procession of some kind and a demonic ritual with everybody wearing these black hoods? It was literally horrifying. Okay. Wow. Okay. So next question, and it's around the Pope as well. Okay, so yeah, there's comms, and even ones like I mentioned a couple, but the cards are saying there's even some coming, and Trump might even make one himself. He might make a reference himself in the near future. Okay, but the one I want to look at now is the next Pope. So obviously there's a big talk about who's going to be the next Pope. Okay, and there's also some big theory that there won't be any more popes, which would be awesome. Okay, but maybe there'll be some kind of fakery. Okay, kind of like what's going on with the WEF, where they put in that. Anyway, we're going to talk about that later, that total gangster, creepy looking guy. But anyway, so the next one, here's what they say Christians or Catholics are hoping it's this Athanasius. I don't know if I'm saying his name right there. Athanasius Schneider. Okay, so I can't say that guy's name. But anyway, that guy, they're saying, and this guy's been known to say that all of Europe is being invaded and the whole immigration policy is an invasion. And he's basically aligns, I think that's the guy. I'm not sure that's the guy for sure. But anyway, there is a guy out there, a bishop, and a lot of people are rooting that that guy gets to be the pope. So if they actually literally have a real pope, it should be this guy. Okay. And I don't know if it's this guy in the picture or not, but the guy that says all of immigration that's happening all over Europe is literally an invasion and not immigration. And it's not natural. And it's obviously some kind of deep state ploy. He's basically aligning with what this community knows about what's been going on in Europe for like at least 20 years, maybe longer. Okay, so they're invading and totally breaking down communities and ruining, entire towns and villages, and nobody's happy about it. Not the people they're plunking down there, and not the people that are being invaded. Like, it's just not cool. Anyway, I wonder if this guy, this Schneider, I'm going to say Bishop Schneider, okay, I wonder if he's the one they're going to actually get to be Pope. Or in fact, are they going to play the movie out with some demonic, even more obvious in your face demonic pope? Because that's what it seems like they're doing with a lot of these things when people gets moved, like what's happening with the WEF leader. Okay, so one guy goes who's totally demonic, and then a worse guy replaces him. That seems to me that is a big part of the movie. Okay, so let's see what happens with the replacement pope, if there is one even, and if it's going to be somebody the Catholics are saying they want in there. Is it going to be somebody that's actually going to do good while they still exist? Okay, Catholicism as a big club. Okay, there we go. Now, remember I said 88. So both the WEF, the Klaus Schwab guy, they said he was 88, and he resigned the very same moment, pretty much, as like where he literally steps down from the WEF at the very same time at age 88. Okay, as the Pope supposedly dies at age 88 again. Okay, so 88, 16, break it down, it equals 16 equals the tower. So in my card reading mind, I'm thinking they're saying tower. And then here we've got the tower, which is huge revelations of truth, huge revelation. So I feel like the Pope leaving and even them choosing another Pope, there's going to be nonstop drops around what these guys are really about. So a lot of truth comes out between now and them choosing another Pope is what that looks like. Yeah, it's already started. So look around, you'll see it, I'm sure. Right. I've been seeing nonstop references to how evil, the Vatican is, etc. So in particular, it looks like there's going to be it does look like you will see them trying to choose another pope, because it's already started. It looks like there's already all kinds of talk about it. Okay, so that's interesting. I feel like they will actually place another pope, and he will be quite because this guy is quite known. So in the world of bishops, I guess, he'd be quite known. Now, I don't know. I don't follow bishops, of course, or what their policies are and politics. And it's fascinating that the Vatican's so political. That's a red flag right there. But of course, it's been since the very beginning. The popes have always basically ruled the world, basically. Yeah. So they got to be the head of the snake, right? On some level, they're the head of the snake here, at least on the earth plane. But see the death card there? It's a total, while there, so we've got 2 death cards around this figure. So someone will be placed, and it will be someone quite well known. Because this is in the middle, I'm not going to go with the Trump card. Usually I talk about this as Trump, but of course there's other attributes the card talks about. And it's saying somebody famous or known. Of course, Trump can't be placed as Pope. Obviously not. So we're not talking about Trump here. We're talking about somebody with the attributes of this King of Wands. So it's a really well-known bishop that might even be somebody a lot of people think it might be. Okay, so I don't know. I'm not privy to any of that stuff and the politics around the Vatican or the fake Vatican at this point. Okay, but you need to know that they won't last long. They might even not get all the way to being, placed. And if they do get placed, they die soon after. There's some kind of physical death here because we got both death cards. So I don't think they'll last long. And I think this guy is in effect the last pope. This guy that just supposedly croaked, I think he's the last pope. And they might place somebody maybe just to wake further waking up. So maybe a real demonic guy, and or maybe even that guy that's talking, sort of Trump policies. Whoever it is they're going to place isn't going to last long. Somehow they die soon afterwards, maybe within 6 months even of being placed, is what I'm thinking. So, wow, that is all very interesting. So yeah, that's it. Basically the last pope, and there'll be a short-lived stint with one more, and it's part of the theater. Okay, now let's look at the Ocean County, New Jersey fires. Okay, so I'm literally just took this from somebody's question. They're saying that it's close to a nuclear facility. Okay, and they're worried that there's going to be a big explosion. Yeah, there's a nuclear plant in New Jersey, and it's on, around the clock watch, they're saying. And the person wanted to know is, who started the fires? What's really going on with the fires there? And of course, will the nuclear plant be, part of and it won't be theater, because if that thing goes up, it's not going to be pretty. It won't be fun. But could it be an event that's coming, caused by these fires, and maybe meant to be by white hats, and or could it be something the deep state's planning, in retaliation? Okay, so let's have a look. So the New Jersey fires, we're going to start with the one close to the nuclear plant. Is that in fact going to, blow up this plant? Because of course that would be absolutely devastating. Let's have a look. Well, it's going to get close here. We've got the Judgment card, so it gets more intense, at least in the news. So down the middle here is what's going on to the general population seeing this, and here's what's actually going on, okay? But it passes it by, but they're going to yup it up in the news, and they're going to keep the news talking about it, like, because this card says, they're getting everybody worked up about it. So you may see more stories in the news about it and how close it comes, or, how they're anticipating that it blows this thing up. But I don't see that it does. I think it's either the fires go out before then, or they bypass it all around. Okay, not to say that the fires are a good thing. Okay, so no, it's not going to blow up the nuclear plant from what I'm seeing, and it doesn't cause an event, but they'll yup it up like it does. And you might even see some truthers getting on, because they tend to like that kind. Some people really like the drama of all of that. And thank goodness I got the cards, because it downplays a lot of drama. Like the universe seems to go a lot. Have you noticed a lot of the things that, oh, this and this and this is going to happen, this and this and this. There's several really big fear porners out there. And almost every time the cards go, no, not going to happen. And guess what? Not bragging or anything, but the cards have been right more times than wrong about things when I get they're not going to happen when the fear porn's all getting crazy. Have you noticed that? I've noticed that. Okay, so now we're going to ask who the heck started the fires? What are they really all about? Are they doing some ops behind the scenes or what's going on? Yeah, I really do thank the universe for giving me the tools and the wherewithal to learn these tools. Okay, so this is interesting. The devil in the middle. Wow. So these two cards, this person is, there's a fairness, truth and integrity to this person. Now we've got the Trump card, another Trump card. So I'm going to say this has to do with the White Hat Alliance. Somehow had something to do with the fires. Okay, we've got the Chariot in the past. So they took a risk and a chance, or even did something that was risky. I guess fires close to nuclear plants are pretty risky. Here's how everybody sees it. Now we've got the devil. So that's interesting. I wonder if they're trying to make it look like, are they drawing attention to that these fires are done on purpose? And are they trying to show you that governments and or companies have I wonder what's going on in the news around the general population. Who are they being told was responsible for the fires? Are they further trying to tell you it's climate change, and then it gets outed that that's clearly fake? Because that's what's been going on in a lot of the fires, supposed wildfires. It's all been outed that they're in no way natural or wild. And so a lot of those fires get outed as completely started by possibly groups with interest in the land around there. So they're trying to get you to look at what are the interests financially, and what would the fires bring nefarious characters? What would they gain from it? Who stands to gain from the land being burnt and that area being in jeopardy with fire? Look around that, because that's what they're outing groups of people that would do that, because apparently a lot of these wildfires that have been going on for years and accelerating, certainly in North America, and I'm sure it's happening in other places in the world. These wildfires for years have been getting more and more, and they're a yearly occurrence now. And even in the last 5 years have been like even out of sync with their usual timing. So they don't even look remotely like wildfires anymore, which leads me to believe they're white hat ops. Okay, even getting people to question, like my dad's a forest ranger, and he's like shaking his head at the timing of these fires. It makes no sense to how the forest works. Forest does have natural fires, and they're timely certain times of the year, and things are way out of sync. And even like I said, total normie like my dad's going, something's weird's going on. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what they're aiming for here. That's in the middle what people are seeing. Okay, so people will question and look at the deep fake and how are these really getting started, and look beneath the veil around what's really happening here and who's really burning up our land. What have they been doing for years? So they're trying to get just regular folks to start questioning what the heck's really going on with these fires. That looks like a big part of it. And here we've got the King of Wands and the Death card. So also there could be some cleaning up, but it would be like it's largely done, it looks like. So some cleaning up might be happening, but I feel like it's more geared towards getting you to blame the right people for these fires and look deeper, like, and not this community, because we already do that. But they're talking about regular folks to start going, wait a sec, there's nothing natural and sort of wild about these fires. Okay, wow. Crazy times we're in, people. Okay, this was a cool one. I thought this was a really interesting question. What structure do the white hats have? Military, is it a military structure? Is it, so the person was wondering, or do they have a whole nother, maybe even off-world kind of structure that's totally unique to the white hats? Because if there's a whole military and it's all over the world, which we've been talking about, I've been talking about it for years. Derek Johnson talks about it. He gives us all kinds of ways to look at it. As far as he's concerned, he seems to think it's absolutely based in the actual U.S. military. But is that true? Like, is it a structure like the U.S. military? And or is it structured? Now I'm talking about what I always call the good military, the ones that work for the White Hat Alliance. Or is it structured totally unique, like off-world, which would be the Seven of Wands, by the way, in the way I read cards. You would see the Seven of Wands. And or the Fool, maybe, which would take you away. Say you don't even have a clue, or even the Wheel of Fortune might come up if it's totally different than anything you'd expect. So let's have a look at, is it this structure or something totally different? Let's have a look. Well, the Death card and the Moon again, that is fascinating. Okay, so the Death and the Moon, two Death cards around it. Maybe we're talking about the part or the okay, so the White Hat military that are actually creating the secret tribunals, that feels like secret tribunals to me, where they're actually taking these people off the earth plane. You know what I'm talking about? Processing them. Okay, so there seems to be two different levels or groups. One might loosely be formulated like a military, maybe not in particular the U.S. military, but maybe a military. So there's a soft yes around one, but another one is totally separate from that. And this one doesn't have the same structure. It's more unique because she's sovereign, unique. So it's a sovereign group who takes it upon themselves to tribunal and so it's not shaped like the military or any military. It feels completely different. The structure's more sovereign, based in free and sovereign agents working for, Alliance and I guess White Hats. They're considered White Hats, but they're the ones tribunaling. And that doesn't get run exactly like the U.S. military. That looks different. Sovereign, so I don't know what I mean by that, where they're not being they're not just following orders. Maybe they're taking the law into their own hands. Maybe they're going with a universal law, sovereign, maybe a common law and a sovereign law, but they're not going with a military law per se. Yeah, so interesting. And that one is absolutely headed by Trump. Whoa. Okay, so there's a couple of levels. So it's kind of a yes and kind of a no. There's a unique level of it, and they're the ones that are tribunaling people. And that one looks like it's very much run by Trump in the White Hat group that I've been calling that. And then there's a whole nother group. This might be the rest of the world. So these could be the ones in all the countries behind the scenes, behind the capitulated governments. So they have a loose structure that is a soft yes around military structure, maybe not exactly like the U.S. military structure. Wow. Okay, so it feels like there's a couple of levels here. Interesting. And that was a cool question too. So let's see. Now the UK, you guys have heard me talking about it, and you've seen. I share lots of things on my social medias about what's going on in the UK and all over Europe, not just the UK. And it's been going on for years and years. And it's about literally where towns and cities are being overrun all over Europe by, and it's happening in Canada and in the US as well. Okay, so this is all over the world. This is a world thing. And I'm sure it's, some other countries I'm not mentioning it's happening in. Okay, so chime in from where you are and let us know if this is happening in your country. Okay, so we're talking about literally where they're pouring in illegally, like they basically got open borders. Okay, and they've been doing this for years, and it's almost like they're rounding up people, and not very, not like family units. No, they're rounding up people, lots of them single males, without family connection, and there's a lot of problems being caused. Rape gangs have been present, especially in the UK, they say, but apparently Sweden has terrible problems with these gangs, as well as lots of European countries. So we've got these gangs, they're, they don't have the same, ideas around respect or, like obviously, and they could be really angry too, because they're being dumped in these countries. Like, I'm not even blaming it on the people there. I'm going to say, although, of course, if they're raping and pillaging, yeah, of course, that's a choice that they made, and that makes them a huge part of the problem. But I'm talking about, how are they really rounding these guys up and just dropping them off there? So it's all an agenda. So it's a deep state government agenda to take down these countries. Okay, because the 1% who've got all of their minions ruling everybody's country doesn't care about your country. So a guy like Keir Starmer, can't remember how to say that guy's name. That guy, for instance, and anybody that's been in charge in the UK and in all of these countries for a really long time, those people don't care. And people are so shocked, they don't care about the actual residents where they're dumping off all of these people. Okay, and the people aren't comfortable either, because now they're dumped in some foreign country, and the weather's not the same. They don't have, and they're wreaking havoc. So havoc is being wreaked. I mean, just look at what's happening in Ireland. It's absolutely horrifying. And chime in, everybody, with your stories if you're from those places. I know it's not even fathomable what's happening, right? And all of that's been coming also to North America. We're seeing the same. And it's crept up on everybody because they've been doing it for years, but they've really, I believe it's a white hat op where they're really shoving it in everybody's face now, where they're putting them up in hotels, and that's all white hat psyop, in my opinion, and according to the cards, where they're pushing it to the level where you can't ignore it, because it was being done anyway, but they were doing it secretively and a little more subtle. So all of a sudden you'd wake up in 10 years from now and your whole country's taken over. Okay, they're doing it now. So the white hat op, in a way, is good. I mean, it seems horrifying, but it's good because it's doing this really in your face, so you understand and you have to do something about it, because there's so many people sitting on their hands and not saying anything. They're all like, they got the woke infection, the woke mind infection. Hang on a sec here. Big old sneeze there. Anyway, so yeah, we're getting these horrifying reports of what's going on in these places, and like I said, also we're starting to realize it's happening all over. And it's just been subtle, and also the woke mind keeps everybody quiet about it, right? Because you don't want to be thought of as, you know, against other cultures or anything. You want to be inclusive and blah blah blah. So it's just like, you know, you don't want to rock the boat not wearing the mask, even though your common sense says, I don't know, you know, viruses can go through these masks, right? Like, even though everybody's common sense was telling them this is all total BS, okay? People are too, they're taught to be, they're feared, like they're pumped all this woke mind virus, and they're just tippy-toeing around everything, you know, because they don't want people to call them out as racist or whatever. Okay, so we got to stop tippy-toeing around and just call a spade a spade. But anyway, so the real question is, what is, like, it's kind of an update on the situation in Europe. Okay, so what can we expect? The person asking the question was worried, do they need to move soon? Like, this feels like it's all going to blow. Okay, like a huge civil war and or war between the migrant population and the regular folks. Like, it's already, you can already see that happening, potentially, you know, in lots of news reports and stuff. So does it get to that point? Do people need to move out of some of these places where this is a huge problem? Is it going to get really ugly, or is it going to be dissipated soon? You know, by the whole situation that's happening in the background, like White Hat Alliance situation. Let's have a look. We'll just see, does this escalate and get way worse? And how bad does it get? Or does it actually dissipate and start resolving itself here? Okay, well, so far so good here. This is looking good. So the Six of Wands is like a victory. There's something coming in the next month even. Okay, so like, please come on and happen. Okay, because usually an ace is a month. There's a creative situation brewing that feels like, yeah, it actually, really shifts the whole situation, and people stop. So we get a big shift here where people stop defending the open borders entirely, although that's largely already happening. Okay, but something's happening with the government where nobody's paying any attention to them. So it seems like the government must fall or really be outed as the scumbags they are, which has been a nonstop project. Have you noticed? You know, look at all of them being outed as, you know, look how they're outing Carney, look how they're outing Starmer, right? So, yeah, all of these guys are one at a time been taken down. And of course, there's the French guy there, Macron. He's been absolutely, like, I mean, it's out that he's married to his father. I mean, transgendered father. Like, really? Okay, like, seriously. And that all of these people are with, all of them seem gay, by the way. Fascinating. Okay, so why is it that all of the world leaders are gay? Okay, because like nothing, you know, whatever. If you're openly gay, I don't care. Okay, but they all get in there pretending to be married to women. So what does that say? Okay, so they're not even okay with themselves. And so to me, it says they were MK altered. They're likely could have been transitioned themselves at birth. We got like they're absolutely, you know, deep state owned and operated. And so because a big part of the deep state and the dark cult agenda is to get as many people compromised at the deep level, so not knowing themselves truly. And I'm not saying because they're gay they don't know themselves, but they're parading around as heterosexuals married to women. But interesting, a lot of these women turn out to be originally men. Okay, so all of that says they're deeply disturbed because, first of all, they're not open about who they are and not comfortable with it, obviously, and also big liars. Okay. And so we don't know their real agenda. What's their real agenda? So we get these people in power. We thought they were a family person. They said they were. They presented as that, paraded around pretend wives. Okay. And then it turns out none of their kids are real. None of their wives are real. They're not even actual women. And these guys all have, rendezvous with other guys. Okay, so you say, oh, who cares? Like, as long as they run the country. Well, how are they going to run the country when, first of all, everything about them's a lie? So you have no idea where their values are. And secondly, what agendas are they going to put forward? Transgender agendas, like all of these agendas that have been pushed forward in all of these countries, completely taken down the fiber of the country and people's knowing themselves, turning everybody into hurrah because you're mentally ill. So we're okay with that, and we're going to even like throw money at that. Okay, so your tax dollars are throwing money at people to encourage their mental illness. Okay, instead of helping them heal, which I'd be for that. Okay, but I'm not going to encourage them blocking puberty blockers and stuff like that before these people actually try to understand themselves and learn to love themselves. Anyway, it's just a big mess. So it looks to me like this is going to dissipate and it won't go to that place that a lot of people are fearing. So I'm not going to say, yeah, you better move out of these. I would say just keep watching, and it could get a little worse before it gets better, but I feel like we got a big change coming around the corner here. Okay, so, but use your own intuition. If you feel like it's time to move, do that. Don't take my word for it. Use your intuition. Okay, elections in Canada. How's that going to go? Like, we got, both of these guys have been totally outed as weffers. I don't care what anyone says. They're both scumbags. Actually, all of them are scumbags. I'm sure of it. There's nobody to choose in Canada. It's a joke. Yeah. So anyway, let's have a look at. So this is obviously theater. In my humble opinion, the cards have been saying it for a long time. Nothing's real about this. Okay. So whatever's going on, you're watching theater, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't, pay attention to it, first of all, because it'll give you clues about what's happening. So a lot of what's happening, like I said, is theater and hidden and secret. So there is a governing governance to Canada, but it's nothing like what you're being presented with. Okay, there's the past. It's very disappointing, and everybody would agree. Like, I think a lot of people you're talking to out on the streets and everything. So there's this big push, by the way, I'm going to just jump over to this, with the guy with giving the 2 fingers up. And I won't do the thing because someone will snapshot that and put it all over the internet, me raising my 2 middle fingers. But anyway, I'd love to, though. It'd be really fun. I would do that to the deep state any day. But anyway, so the big look for the Carney bunch, okay, is the elbows up, right? But 2 middle fingers up too, right? So they've got this guy, and I'm sure he was placed. I bet he was white hat placed. I bet that's part of the theater, where they've got this guy, so this nerdy looking guy in his 60s. Yeah, and they're blaming everything, by the way, on my age group. It's really annoying. The boomers were like the bad guys, okay, because we don't want kids to have houses and stuff. Well, that's not true, people. I go out of my way to help all my nieces and nephews and young people around me, my children, be able to achieve things. Okay. And I even have to stop myself from trying to be too generous because, I worked for everything so hard for years and it did me nothing but good. So maybe I should let them do that. But, it's really hard not to just try to help them. But anyway, so where was I? I was like, so it's a big secret government really ruling, and it has nothing to do with what you're seeing. What everyone's seeing is very disappointed. Canadians are just disgusted with what they're seeing, generally speaking. And I don't think there's as big as a Carney, people all coming out for Carney. I think that was all BS. Okay, I think that was all a bunch of planted actors. Okay, and that guy with the two fingers up, okay, that was a planted actor. They did that on purpose to show you just what really you're voting for if you're voting for this guy, and how foolish people can be about it. Okay, so here we've got the Queen of Pentacles there. So this is patience and perseverance. A lot of people are just taking a wait and see. You'll see a lot of people sitting out this election too. A lot of people aren't even going to vote. Okay, so something looks like it happens right before or just after the election. Okay, so the election illusion will go forward. Somebody will get voted in. I feel like it'll be a deep stater, but that's all of them. So it could be any one of those deep state. They're all scumbags. Pierre Poilievre's is the biggest scumbag as the rest of them. Okay, so they're all there's no way I would say yay to any of them. I'm personally sitting it out entirely because sorry, but I'm not participating. There's not a single human being put up there. It's all theater. I can't even fathom it. But anyway, so here we've got the Tower. There's going to be some kind of a big shift and a huge world awareness here that looks like it happened sometime in May. So after the thing, so even if somebody gets in, it doesn't last long. So you guys don't worry if it's Carney. It looks like he doesn't stick around, just like Cliff said, past June. I'm even thinking sometime in May, everything blows. Okay, so the whole thing blows and their cover's blown. These deep staters covers, I don't think it could last too much past even mid-May. Okay, so yeah, it's all fake, and most people are going to opt in particular not to vote, it looks like. Somebody will get in. It'll be an obvious deep stater, and it looks like they'll fake the whole thing. The whole thing's going to be theater. Okay, so whoever they've chosen to play out the theater to wake more people up, that's who's going to win. And I'm thinking it's probably Carney, which would be a joke because he's been so outed. Almost nobody's really going to vote for him. So that'll all be a lie. Okay, so that's the elections in Canada, guys. Okay, it's all fake and unbelievable crazy going on there. Now I'm going to do a last one here. So we're going to look at, there's news out that in Washington State, and of course we know that's one of the biggest liberal outback states. Okay, from everything I hear about Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Washington State, okay, it's horrifyingly woke and liberal. Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure there's some great people hiding out there, but for the most part, it sounds like your cities are completely taken over by complete wokeness. Okay, it's horrifyingly scary. Now, and that's just what it looks like from here. So let us know if that's not the case. Okay, big cities, how woke are they? Let us know if you're from that state. Okay, so what we want to know here, somebody wants to know, they say there's language of some big law that's being pushed through that's giving permission basically to enforce possibly vax on everybody. Okay, now I want you just to point out, meanwhile, vaxes is every day getting closer to being completely outed. Okay, and every day RFK. So they keep saying, oh, RFK is going to do this, but in the fall or down the road. And then it turns out the very next day it all goes through. So it's weird what RFK is doing, it seems, is all being speeded up. But they say, oh, within months, we're going to take out the dye. Well, why couldn't they just do it the next day? And then the next day you find out that the dyes are being dropped out of these food processing places, and you know what I mean. So I want people to notice that they're saying things that look like everything's going to take so long, but then turn around and do it. 2 days later, there's a news report that the thing that they were saying was going to take till fall or whatever is already happening. Okay, which leads me to believe this has all been done, and it's done and dusted. Of course, they've put I'm sure they've taken the vax off the table for children already. Okay, but they're just now finally admitting that it's bad and likely bad for kids. And so, in my opinion, and I'm not saying give the vax to your kids. Absolutely, do not. No, nobody should go near those things. Okay, but I feel like they've already been outed, so they can't really try any shenanigans with it. They can't really be even using the real vax anymore, in my opinion. Okay, and I may be wrong about that, but I'm not saying anyone should go near the vaxes. So I feel like it's huge theater what's going on here. Okay, so the person seemed like they were worried that all of a sudden they're going to get forced to take the vax if they live in Washington State, and I get that fear because the mainstream news looks like that's what they're doing. Meanwhile, if you're watching other news reports, all of it's getting shut down and outed. Okay, so why on earth, if this was real, if your government was real, would they be not reading the tea leaves and seeing how unpopular they were going to be if they tried pushing that? Usually, in the normal world that used to happen back then, even the deep state government, not stupid enough to go against huge public opinion that a bunch of people are dying from something and then push it on you. Okay, so that I just want you to notice that that's obviously part of the theater. Okay, so I know things have gotten so crazy that we expect that kind of behavior from politicians now, but it's only been the last 5 years that they're being that blatant about their disgustingness. Okay, that kind of blatant behavior is showing you that we're watching some theater. Okay, but I guess what we're going to ask is it going to look like that law is going to come into place and people are they going to go through those hoops and that theater and make people actually, or try to make it look like in Washington State you're going to be forced to take the vax? That's how I'm going to ask that. Okay. So we got a yes. Great. But we got the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so at the very same time as it appears that way, so it'll appear that way, okay, the Wheel of Fortune, everything gets flipped around, and that was upside down. So meanwhile, everything's getting flipped around in the background, exactly like what I said. So at the very same moment as everything's flipped around, they'll be telling you that that's what they're doing. Okay, so the whole thing is mostly because they want people to yell about it. Okay, so as things come more and more obvious to the surface and out, so daily things are being outed about the vax and how dangerous it is. Okay, as those things come forward, this law gets pushed through. Okay, and it's just really for wake-up purposes, and then it gets stopped. So it goes yes and then no. Okay, and the no part is going to happen mostly by normies who are just going to go, nope, we're not putting up with that. So it's like they'll look like they get forced into it right at the very same moment as it's really broken out, because it's still not yet. But then all of a sudden this was upside down. So everything gets flipped around on vax companies and everything. So at the very same moment as everything's being outed at the demonicness of it, which is already, by the way, happening if you're paying attention. Okay, that's the moment that they put that law through. Okay, and people yell about it and they stop it, or they just go, no, we're not doing that. So it's dead in the water, but it all happens sort of simultaneously. The outing and the law getting pushed through. So it's like this dual world we're living in, this complete, it's like we're on two timelines at the same time. And it is frustrating. I understand that. But they're really, it's like the white hats are really using it to their advantage. So yeah, that's what's going on. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching my video. And I'm going to send you all ravens. Take care. Bye-bye. Pull that down a little.
Yeah.
So we've got the high priestess. This is in the past. So lots of secrets, things kept from regular folks, even the truthers. We have to go digging for the truth. Like it's not easily available, right? There's a lot of things floating around and we don't always know exactly what is true and what isn't these days, right? So that's the high priestess. Then the next thing, this is like going into the month here, we've got the 6 of Cups, which is interesting. So maybe some glimpses into who's working with who, and more political theater. I'm feeling like more political theater, but maybe exposing who's actually working with who, because this card, it comes out maybe more in the open, who's actually friendly with who. Even though you just said that, Jean-Claude, I got a feeling it'll be the opposite that shows itself. Maybe it'll be like actually we have a better relationship with the U.S. or their potential of it is creating. Okay, but what Carnier said might be literally the opposite of what we find out, because this says we get clarity on a relationship with a close neighbor.
Well, that's interesting because here in Canada, if you listen to talk radio, most Canadians are confused, and even the talk show hosts are confused as to what Mr. Trump is actually trying to accomplish. And as a result of having that void of information or clarity, they seem to be pushing towards the narrative that he might be losing his rocker, that he's a dictator, that he's going berserk somehow and off script. And so Canadians seem to be tracking with that message right now, if you listen to the people in coffee shops and all that. And again, void of any concrete information of what he's actually trying to do with this tactic. He's leaving that gap right now for that type of discourse to continue to grow. So it's interesting you're seeing that at some point here we'll have a bigger understanding of that relationship and what perhaps he's up to.
Yeah, and that's echoed in the hidden influence, which is the 2 of Cups. So the 2 of Cups are capitulation, shows itself. People, again, you get to see a little behind the scenes, who's shaking hands with who. So it sort of, it's almost like a nod to this card that I was just talking about. I feel like we will be able to see there's some clarity around a relationship that seems to improve. So if it's right now, really, we're really in the dark, and that makes sense to this card and this card. Yeah. So this is like a lot of people very confused and or really seeing the worst case scenario with what's happening in the U.S. government, that sort of thing. All over the world, that seems to be the case, because lots of people write to me and they say they're hearing the same thing you're hearing, Jean-Claude, in coffee shops, etc. Okay, so somehow that seems to really quickly turn around because it's sometime in this month. Okay, so that's interesting.
Sassy Cindy says, yeah, most are mad at Trump here in Ontario. I'm just quiet, she says. Yeah, like me too. Everywhere I go right now. And I'm actually surprised at the level of rhetoric all of a sudden. So something the mainstream news is doing is working. And presumably these might be the same people who are still listening to mainstream news, who might be vaccinated and all that too. But I'm curious on how quickly that transpired here in just the last couple of weeks. So again, it's interesting to see that there might be a reversal here and more information coming out. And I think it's not too soon. I think we need that information here. Go ahead.
Okay, now we've got, so things to note or notice. Okay, so we've got the 9 of Cups, which is a wish and a desire. And this is a like kind of showing some true colors. I feel like a lot of us really want certain people's true colors. For instance, Mark Carnier, for instance, people that were involved in Epstein on the island, etc., like the Diddy stuff. We really needs some true clarity around dysfunctions and things done by these people. We don't just want to see the guy who owned the island and who was a kind of like, it's almost like they scapegoated two people for that whole Epstein thing and then closed the books on the other stuff. And until they share that, it's going to be really hard. This community knows better, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's hard for people to understand, but this card says we're going to get that wish where we really see somebody's funk. It's going to make a lot of people happy, and it could even improve relations between the US and Canada. That's what I'm thinking there. Okay, and maybe even some other places in the world, because this feels like we all of a sudden start to see who's working with who here. You get a lot of clarity around that.
Right.
Now, this is the 10 of Pentacles, the near future outcome. A lot more people on board than were. And I got that before when I looked at it. In fact, I think today on my quick pick Thursdays, I think I got the where a lot more people seem to know what's going on by the end of the month than going into it. So there's a lot of secrets going in, but a lot more people in the know coming on the other side. That's how we come out. This is how we go in.
And you said, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Janine. Sorry, guys. We have a little bit of a delay between Janine and I can't hear her when she's still speaking and vice versa. We don't mean to speak over each other. Go ahead, Janine.
Some kind of turnarounds going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've got the Devil and the Hanged Man. So this is overviews the whole thing. Okay, so the Devil and the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man says your wait is worthwhile. So even though it's in, I feel like the white hats purposely put the whole situation in, because I feel like they know exactly what they're doing with, or they think they know what they're doing with the Trump team. And they've put him in a very difficult, precarious position with all the things he's put out there. But it's to enlighten. So all of it is meant to enlighten and take us over to who's really your enemy, which I've been saying that for a couple of years now. That's been the agenda. So something turns around here, and it's fairly soon into, I'd even say after the 2nd or 3rd of the month, even. It's soon into it.
Okay.
Where now we get some clarity.
That hangman position too, like just in the last couple of days, again, we still don't have anything on the Epstein list. But Pam Bondi and Patel were out arresting some MS-13 gang members, which we're all happy for, but not really was that on the priority list. We're still looking for the Epstein stuff. So they kind of gave us something, but as far as I can see from social media, nobody really cared about it. They're still looking for the big guns, right? The big names coming out. Now, what Trump seems to have been alluding to also in the last 2 days is that he has all the information, video, and files relating to the 2020 election. He says he won big, and people are going to find out. You guys can find the last tweet on that. So when you say we're going to hear somebody's funk, did you mean more here in terms of Canadian politics, or just generally speaking? And could that relate to news coming out of 2020 election?
We got the 3 of Pentacles, so it's all nodding to people working together and understanding. So maybe we get a little understanding of how all of these people are actually working together, and what we think is all these separate groups are actually working together to help wake up humanity. I feel like that it's more along those lines. Sort of the wake-up call starts to make more sense, and that we start to tie together, okay, these guys are all working together.
Okay, so we get to see the bigger picture. So it's not just the election, it's not just the Epstein file list, it's not just the alien file, it's everything at the same time here. Okay, now speaking of the alien stuff, you did kind of allude to that and go a little bit deeper today in your quick draw. So folks, I invite you to go check out today's video at 2 p.m. with Janine. How does that tie into this poll for April, if anything?
You know, I think I got more detail there.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, like the universe, has different ways of talking. This is way more big picture, and that one gave more detail specifically on sort of
You
alien
you were
connection.
asking specifically about that because of your sighting last night in
Yeah,
Haida Gwaii. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Where do I go next with this? Do you have a timing as to, is it more the end of the month, mid-month, first week of the month for the clarity to come out? You're saying yes, at the beginning we're kind of in the dark, at the end we know more. When is it going to hit? Because again, I just wanted to show and remind the audience members of the graphic that Cliff provided us with the emotional tension values. And here it appears that it's really the first week of April we have the highest number. Then we come down a little bit, come back up at 52. These are still very high numbers compared to where we are now in March. But then bigger in May, bigger in June, as I said, in July, those peaks here at 95, I think it's the highest one. And then we have a bit of a reprieve in the 80s and 70s, if you call that a reprieve, and then a huge 102 there in October. So when do you see like shit hitting the fan or this information really start to hit the news here in April?
Right off the bat, there's something.
Okay.
Okay, so we get a glimpse here. And then this is moving out of troubled water. So likely a lot of people are going to be talking about it, examining it. Lots of the truthers are going to get on there. Lots of X. I get like social media commentary on whatever happens here in the first couple of days.
Yeah.
Okay, then I feel like people are going to have to go through it and even have mixed emotions. Because if you're just new to this, you could feel really disappointed in what you hear. I think if you've been at it for a while, you're actually going to be glad it's coming out because you already knew that and went through the disappointment. And now the ace. So by the end of the month, here's where maybe why we might see even an uptick in who's watching our videos and stuff, because I feel like there's a lot more clarity by the very end of the month.
You
about
said that
what happened right at the beginning.
Right. You said that on the 3 p.m. show again today also about a new wave of people coming into the woo here to try to better understand their world. Okay. Next quick question also. I wanted to ask you if you want to shuffle, Janine. We had reports from yesterday and today. Some researchers, truthers in the community were suggesting that something had just happened, that there was a security threat to the United States, that it was not necessarily the cabal, it was something kind of new, and that people had been called in, quote unquote, to help mitigate this emergency, and that they could be going dark, so to speak, or working offsite somehow for the next 30 days or so. This is what we're being told. Now, do you want to do a poll, first of all, on if that's just bullshit and a redirect? Is there something there? I don't want to talk about the individuals per se who were mentioning that, but let's just get into the core information. Is there a new threat that just hit yesterday or today that could be coming from a different direction than anybody expected?
Well, that ace does indicate something, some kind of news that could be very worrisome.
Okay.
And this card does worry about things that may never happen. So, unless I see a worrisome card underneath it, just keep that in mind. This card goes to right away to the worst case scenario, but there's something did happen here, and it feels like the person's saying that, or the people's talking about that, at least heard something that was very worrisome, or got some kind of news that they believe to be really worrisome. Okay, now we've got the 7. It's kind of been building for a really long time, so it's not maybe entirely new. It's something they've maybe known about, or it's been building out in the world for a long time. I'm feeling more along the lines of alliance related, and or related to, or maybe the news came from the alliance, or possibly otherworldly, other dimensionals energetically, because that's interesting that this card's in the middle.
Hey, dude, we just did a reading yesterday on that weird UFO that came through a portal at Angkor Wat.
Yeah.
And there you said, hey, that was unexpected. It was a different group. It was part of the war, but kind of unexpected what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, we read on it yesterday, so I don't know if this is part of the news that they were hearing too, that kind of
interesting. We did.
Yeah.
Okay, so see that there? So they're expecting a lot of different things in different areas to get kind of some fallout here from this.
Huh.
Okay, so I do think there's a there to it, but I do also feel like the threat, because we did get that the White Hat Alliance had to move in and mitigate or downgrade a threat.
Yeah.
That's what we got. Okay, so that's interesting. We got the Page of Swords here, but these aren't so worrisome. Like, it feels like it was found out soon enough or taken care of soon enough, and they used a really creative way to manage it. It's being managed, but yeah, and it does feel like something could show up. It's not just the US, could show up all over the place. We could actually see more videos similar to that, or somehow that connect to off-world energies. Whoops.
Oh, I think you lost your phone there. While you plug that back in, guys, this was the video that Janine and I were looking at yesterday about this portal that had opened just above Angkor Wat. It appears that something was coming out, and then, of course, the portal closes behind it. And so I'll bring the link down in the live chat if you haven't seen this video as well. So let me see if we can go to the live chat and show this to you guys here. That works. Okay. Interesting, Janine. Okay. Yeah, the card view is actually better that way. We can see the whole spread that way. Okay. So fair to say that what we heard was a little bit maybe exaggerated, that we need to take it down a notch? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's been mitigated, but possibly whoever was hearing that information did actually believe the threat was as big as it appeared to be. And yeah, there's a there to it, looks like.
Okay, fascinating. All right, we have not brand new. We have a guest, a brand new person in the live stream waiting to come on. Of course, it's the one and only Meg Moonbeam. You can find her work, of course, on the Academy and also here on the consultation page. Meg, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sunburnt. You guys may or may not be able to tell. I'm in Florida visiting my mom at the moment, and I got like a really bad sunburn. Experiencing this Mercury retrograde so hardcore. I don't know, Janine and JC, if you're feeling it, but wow, this one is a doozy. So very happy to be here with you guys and the positive vibes.
I'm having trouble getting my thoughts together and communicating in the last couple of days doing these shows. And I keep reminding myself, oh yeah, the retrograde. It's kind of like in reverse gear sometimes. How's your sleep? My sleep has been really weird all week. Crazy dreams, tossing and turning, hot, cold, and weird dreams, like out of the blue, like don't make sense, like not my typical jam altogether. How's it feeling for you, Meg?
I've been needing to sleep a lot more than usual. I usually get that around eclipse seasons, like we're in right now. I slept like 10 hours last night, but also having really weird, kind of disturbing dreams at the same time. So yeah, experiencing some of that.
Have you been watching White Lotus by any chance? The latest season? There's some disturbing scenes there that might give people nightmares. I won't spoil it for you guys. Janine, how about you? How's your sleep patterns?
Really bad last night.
Yeah.
Couldn't get to sleep. I was all like, after I had that experience where I went outside, was looking at the stars and felt like we were being watched really intensely.
Yeah.
Like focused on from all four corners, kind of somehow. I was all energized, and I was like, I could not calm down. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that yesterday that you had the sighting. Cliff was texting me earlier today too that he said that the military jets were very, very active on the West Coast last night and into this morning. So I don't know if they were chasing the same stuff you were seeing. Do we want to do a quick poll to see if what he was seeing was related to perhaps some of the sightings that you had in the Haida
Sure.
and see maybe what we need to know about that? Now, let me bring that up on the main screen. We're going to bring in the astrology here also and look at this eclipse that's coming up, the solar eclipse that's coming up on Saturday. Meg is kind enough to provide us a few slides, so we'll try to get some understanding of some of these crazy energies also that you guys are feeling right now. So now, Janine, we're pulling on the reports of military craft doing operations yesterday into this morning, and whether or not that relates to sightings that you are seeing also on the West Coast.
Definitely relating here because first card down is a major arcana.
Yeah.
And it's the sun as well. So that's interesting. And then we've got the death card there. So that is very interesting. So the death card, the sun, a really big change in the sun, a really big change. Moving out of troubled water, a really big change. I feel like that's talking about maybe a huge change being brought in by things happening with the sun. Yeah. So is it a moon eclipse or a lunar or a solar?
Solar.
Okay. Huge energy shift brought in by what's going on with the sun right now. Going to bring more clarity, and people come more together with this. This feels like people get more on page together, like not everybody, of course, but you're going to find, again, this could contribute to more people with eyes on this kind of community in the next month.
So like spiritual awakening of sorts?
Like making that connect between what's going on and what they're actually hearing and seeing. So not being so disconnected from what's actually happening.
Wow. Okay. Your thoughts on that poll, Meg, before we look at some of the astrology in your charts?
Sorry, I just totally zoned out there.
It's the sunburn, Meg.
I was like listening, but also like zoned out. Sorry, what did you say, Janine? Just the last minute I missed.
It's all good. Something to do with the sun right now is actually shifting, changing something forever for people. So this eclipse season is really big and making big changes. And how it seems to the people it affects are more what we've been calling normies, seem to get a little closer to understanding what we're seeing. Shifting and slowly. It's not all overnight or anything, but to a victory for all of us coming more together eventually. I feel like this is the universe helping us find some common ground.
Well, that seems to be prevalent in the last 2-3 days of you pulling, that in the month of April, people would come together, be a little bit more enlightened, see the bigger picture, and come on board, so to speak, Janine. So you're kind of echoing that sentiment there. Meg, do you see astrology that would suggest and reinforce this as well?
Yeah, definitely. There's so many big things happening all at the same time right now, particularly this week. We do have this solar eclipse in Aries that's exact on Saturday. And then the next day, Sunday, March 30th, we have Neptune ingressing into Aries. And we haven't had that since 1875. And, you know, solar eclipse in Aries, the sign of Aries, Neptune going into Aries is the sign, first sign in the zodiac, of being in the present moment, like really being here now, being grounded, looking at the information, starting to see things clearly. So we're coming out of this Neptune and Pisces transit where it kind of makes sense what you're saying, Janine. People not so much in this airy-fairy la-la land anymore. Yes, we will
come out of the fog, so to speak.
Exactly, coming out of the fog. Yes, we'll still have the North Node in Pisces, but the strongest outer planet at the moment since 2013 has been Neptune in his home sign, in his rulership of Pisces. Huge fog, beautiful spiritual awakening that's helping the ascension process, but also huge fog that I'm noticing it right now, like visiting some family in Florida at the moment where they're totally in this normie fog. They think Trump is a racist. They think you're going to see that in the slides. I have a picture of Mel Gibson. And I was like, guys, what picture should I put in my astrology slide for today? And I was like, I think I'll do Mel Gibson. They're like, oh, he's a racist. You can't do that. He said this. He said that. It's like, you guys are so in this fog. And there's nothing that I can say. Something that I've learned that's been very hard is there's nothing you can say to wake them out of it. It's in their soul's own time that they will decide or not decide to come out of it. So a lot of different things, Janine, that make sense with, I think, what you're pulling there.
Okay, very good. Well, let's look at the eclipse then. Let me bring up the chart. Meg, I think this is the first one. Correct me if I'm wrong. I have 3 for tonight. Go ahead. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, so we've got the picture of Mel Gibson there because Aries, of course, and we've got JC, our Aries leader, is the sign that rules warriorship and the divine masculine and being in our leadership. So this solar new moon eclipse at 9 degrees of Aries is going to be on March 29th, 2025. It's our last eclipse of the Aries Libra eclipse cycle that we've been in for the past few years. And this Aries Libra axis is the one of relationships. So Aries rules self, Libra rules others. So we've been going through the past 2 to 3 years, really big transformation in our relationship sector of life. Solar eclipses are about fresh new energies and beginnings. Aries, as I said, is the first sign in Western astrology, also ruling new beginnings, as well as empowerment, leaders, bravery, living in the present moment. So it's like all these people are going to start waking up, snap, coming into the present moment and actually what's really been going on. And I'm going to get to why that's going to be challenging in a moment. This March 29th eclipse in Aries will activate our own internal empowerment, fearlessness, and leadership in our own lives. We will also be wanting real and truthful leaders reflected in the collective. Massive new leadership worldwide in power structures expected during the course of the next year. And we're kind of seeing that, we're 3 Canadians over here on the show right now. We're kind of seeing that in Canada. It's like, okay, some people are saying all the right things, but with these Aries eclipses, now we want to see the actual results. I do feel like, I don't know what you think yet, Janine or JC, but I do feel like Pierre Poilievre is going to win the election. And people are really going to want him held account because he's saying a lot of words that, a lot of people are happy with, but okay, are the actions actually going to align with the words? And people are going to get very angry over the course of the next year if the leaders are not aligning with their words. There will be maybe even big protests with that too.
We're not sure yet if he's winning, but we did pull on this the other day. Cliff posted something on Twitter suggesting that in his data, Mark Carney was not appearing in any meaningful way past June of this year. Yeah. So that meant that either he wins the election and then it's overturned, or he loses face, or he's booted out for some scandal of some sorts, or he doesn't win at all and we have a big upset. Because right now, the mainstream media is telling us that, yeah, Mark Carney is the guy. It appears to be that way. But again, when you're talking to people on the streets and you're looking at all the rallies, people are just loving, they're packing the rooms for Pierre Poilievre, and nobody seems to be attending as much anyways, Mark Carney, similar to what we saw in the election with Trump and Biden the first time around, but that still didn't give us the result that we wanted at that time. So we could still be looking for a weird upset here to a manipulation in Canada. We just don't know yet. And I think the cards were kind of hesitant that it was being battled out somehow, or that it wasn't decided, I think is what Janine was alluding to. Go ahead, Janine.
I wonder if we should look again with what she said here. We've never looked at, will Pierre Poilievre win?
Okay.
Let's look at that. Let's do him and Carney and around the election. So he's going to be first card down. Carney's card here. And this is around how they're looking for real to the Canadian people.
Okay.
We're not is it going to be, and like we can also get information on if it's going to be a steal or an upsetting result. by the look of and by the layout. So yeah, we could get a lot of info on that. So we'll go.
Do you want to take a pause on the charts now and do that poll right now, Meg, or do you want to finish the slides and then come
Oh,
back?
yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm totally butting
Is
in.
there more information in the slides that'll help the poll, or do you want me to just cut this here and go to the poll? What do you think?
We can pause. Let's just go flow.
Okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
I'm just trying to serve the audience here with the information correctly.
Yeah.
Okay, Janine, let's do that poll right now, as
I'm
you
pulling
suggested.
an Aries move here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. What's the word that Cliff I used the other day? Bossy something?
Bossy britches.
Right.
I took it as a compliment.
Of course it was. It was a huge
Ooh.
compliment.
I am a Taurus ox after all.
Uh-huh.
I'm actually pretty nice considering I'm a Taurus and an ox. Like
Mhm.
I'm doing pretty good.
Yep.
You're doing very good, Janine.
I could be worse, trust me. Okay, so what do we got? Yeah, see the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so this is Pierre, and this is Mark. So they're safely looking at. Okay, so they're putting him out there, but a lot of like he's not even really getting down into the public or anything. Like he's just looking from his lofty view out at everybody. And Pierre Poliver looks like he's doing a lot of about faces on things. Have you guys noticed that? Like, has he all of a sudden changed? Like, didn't he call out the WEF and say none of his people can go near the...
Yeah, but he said that last year too, so that's not new. He was just kind of rehashing what he's already said. Most of the policies are there. There's new stuff, but they're not reversals. He's talking about now reducing income tax by 15%. Also, that's not a reversal. It's just something new that he's just brought forward again to compete with Carney here. I don't see reversals in his platform so far. I haven't seen it. It's not to say that it wasn't there, but I don't think so. Not at that level anyway. So the reversal must be touching some other aspect here. And correct us if we're wrong in the live chat. If Pierre's renounced on some of these policies, let us know. But and send us a link also to what you're saying. But I don't think so. Keep going, Jenny.
If I can just interject for a moment, I did hear Pierre, because I've listened to all his speeches in the past few weeks. He said, was it yesterday or the night before in Hamilton, he'll have no one from his cabinet go to the WEF. So
but like I said, he said that before. That was a year ago.
Right.
So that's what I mean. It's not a new thing, or it's not a reversal. It's not like he said before, oh, I'll let them all go to the World Economic Forum, and now he doesn't want to. That is an old kind of promise, but he just brought it back on the table.
Right.
Yesterday. Yeah. Okay. Again, we could be wrong. We don't have time to watch all the news. There's just so much. So let us know in the live chat if there's anything else that could sound or be perceived as a reversal. Janine, keep going with the cards.
Okay. So the first thing you got to notice is Pierre's cards are both major arcanas. They got way more clout. This guy's are really wishy-washy, and I don't even know if he's really in. You know what I mean? Like, he's supposed to be our prime minister right now, even though he came in through the back door. But this is really wishy-washy. And this card here is he's really standoffish. Okay, but I feel like it's really up the game of Pierre. It's almost like got Pierre maybe working harder. Okay, but it feels like it'll be played out. This is how it plays out in the public. Really touch and go. It'll be played out really touch and go. And it's like it's still not known how that's all going to play out or how they're going to play it out.
It's that old 50-50 all the way to the election.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and this is all part of the war, and I feel like this is part of however it plays out. It's part of what we've been watching as a theater of politics, part of the war. Okay, because there's the war, and something could come right at the last or within 5 days before or after the election that could take us right out of elections in general, or really even hold it up possibly.
You've said that many times now in the last 2 months, that something we wouldn't get to it or something like that was the word you use. Wow, that's fascinating. You want to do a poll on what that might be? Is that a financial shock to the world? Is that ETs, earth changes? Like, it would have to be pretty big to pause or divert an election that's already underway.
two eights, so we don't get to know. This
Okay.
8 says not time to know, and this card, this is the 8 of cups, so something's missing. It's like one part of the information is missing, and maybe they don't even know exactly how they're going to play it out.
Cliff says aliens are just saying.
Maybe
What's that guy again?
Yeah, maybe they're expecting something. Who knows, right?
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Fascinating. Anything else you want to add or question, Meg, on the Polliver versus Carney situation here?
Yeah, just want to be very clear that I'm not like obsessed with Pierre Poilievre. I'm trying to be as neutral as possible, and I'm looking at everything very suspiciously after everything that we've gone through. I've been studying their charts. I still need to study the Canada transits in particular. I haven't had time to do that for the election, but Mark Carney's astrology is horrible. It reminds me a lot of Kamala Harris's. They have some similar things going on. A lot of these cabal people, it's very interesting when you look at their charts. They have some of the absolute worst transit aspects that you can possibly have. So Carney is not, whether he doesn't win the election, wins, he's not sticking around. It's all false, like Janine is saying. And it's so bad that I think the same thing might happen to him as what happened to Joe Biden, where there may even be a new liberal put in before the actual election date.
Yep.
Wow.
It's so bad that there's shit we don't know about this guy, but I think it's starting to come out. Like there's some drag queen saying that he's a hidden, supposed closeted, drag queen behind the scenes. We know he's a board member for the WEF. Like there's all this stuff, right? So super weird. And Pierre, we're going to see. Time will tell, but definitely looks stronger for Pierre, but also makes sense with my next slide, what you're getting, Janine, with it's all part of the war. So
And again, Cliff was suggesting in his data that he wasn't appearing in any meaningful way past June. So something seems to suggest here that he exits the stage somehow. So, okay, we'll keep looking at that. Okay, do you want me to go back to that first slide? Did we go through all of it?
Yeah, there's just one more thing on the. Oh, also, if I could just mention, sorry, before I forget.
Yeah.
So our election in Canada it's April 28th, right?
Right.
Yeah. So 2 days before that, we're going to have exact Mars in opposition to Pluto. One of the most intense things you can have. So it's going to be very intense, regardless of what happens, very big power struggles and drama. And there may be something nefarious that the dark side tries to do. I don't know if that's what you were alluding to, Janine, or just something in general that could possibly pause an election or something like that. So we'll see about that.
That's a weird false flag or redirect here on a mass scale. Wow.
Right.
Okay. And what's the date on that? So 2 days before the 28th? So the 26th?
April 26th is exact Mars opposite Pluto.
Okay.
Yeah.
The energies would be conducive for them for a false flag or something like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Possible. Hopefully we don't have that, but it is a possibility.
Okay.
So to continue with the eclipse on March 29th, the dispositor of this eclipse, which is Mars, the ruling planet of Aries, is at fall in the sign of Cancer. This least favorite place to be, very uncomfortable and challenging. People will be very emotionally triggered and volatile for not just that eclipse day, the next couple of weeks, but solar eclipses have an influence for the whole next year. Okay, so suppressed anger and frustrations, if any, are coming up to the surface for many of us. Wow. Regular exercise ruled by Mars is a good astrological remedy. So I've been saying this over and over again the past week. You guys may be sick of hearing me say this if you listen to my daily astros. Don't take things personally from others at this time. And this actually goes for the whole next year in particular, because we're under the influence of this eclipse chart. On Wednesday, we had exact Mars in Cancer square Chiron. People are having and I've been having it myself, like learning the truth about Canada, that Canada, the Illusion documentary that just came out, which I still need to do my own research on, but just learning all these pieces of actually how deep the lies go and feeling that within myself as a Canadian. But wherever you're from, you can feel that, how deep we've given our power away, the shadow side of Aries. And of course, there's frustration and anger that can come with that. So doing healthy exercise, ways of releasing anger is a really good remedy. Did you want to say something to that, JC?
I would say the exercise part is absolutely crucial right now. And judging on some of the reads that Janine has been pulling since probably last fall, we were getting a lot of upset people here in 2025. Some of it having to do with all the secrets revealed, mostly also having to do with COVID, the agenda, and some people realizing that perhaps they are maimed. That they maimed their children, their spouses, and that anger comes up in a big way. So, be strong here, not just for yourself, but for the people around you. It's going to be crazy, and people around you are going to be crazy. And there was also the sudden death. Also, we read on that earlier today, and that unfortunately is still very much in the cards. And we're going to see more and more of that this year, and that's also going to cause a lot of anger and emotional uproar throughout the year. As unfortunate as it is, everybody you see on the screen has family members who are vaccinated, and we don't want to hear that news. We didn't want to pull on that news, but it's recurring every time we look at it, and people were asking today in the live chat. So, so touchy, rocky road here ahead, emotionally speaking, for everyone. And so be outside in nature, exercise, ground yourself, eat properly, try to mitigate those emotions, and don't take it personally. And don't get into the weeds of these politics and all these talk radios right now who are trying to divide and conquer on all these little petty things when really there's bigger things at play. So I'm totally with you on that, Meg. Okay, let's go to the second slide for the clip. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just also another little note, I won't go into it, but very interesting that the dispositor Mars of this eclipse is in several very strong aspects. Square Chiron, very emotionally sensitive, trine Saturn, sextile Uranus, and trine the North Node. So some good ones there, but really intense that he's square Chiron. Also, Aries not only rules action, men, conflict, war, all that stuff I just mentioned, but also rules building and architecture. It's no surprise astrologically that the truth was revealed during this current eclipse season regarding the architecture that lies beneath the Giza pyramids, main power center of the planet. I think over the course of the next year, and I don't know if it was you that said this recently, Janine, or when I did As Above, So Below with the Shala, but one of you got like, very soon there's going to be another thing coming out. And then I saw an X the next day that supposedly the Ark of the Covenant was like discovered in 1988 or something like that. Yeah. So over the course of the next year, even more big truths regarding building, Aries is building, of sacred sites. We've got Neptune conjunct the North Node, sacred sites at the time of this eclipse. So lots going on. To go back to Canada for a moment, the country of Canada is a 16 degrees Aries rising. Canada will be one of the most affected countries by this Aries eclipse for this season and the whole next year. New leadership will come. So it is also showing in the eclipse, like there is going to be a new leader coming in over the course of the next year, but it will be an intense process. This eclipse is in an almost exact square to Canada's natal sun, only 1 degree off of being exact. Canada will never be the same and is changing. The change will start to be fast. Aries is things going fast and rapid once this eclipse activates. Also remember, the day after, there's so much going on, the day after this eclipse, Neptune goes into Aries. Canada, when it was founded, had Neptune in Aries, so Canada is going to start its Neptune return. Neptune is dissolving of one's identity. So it's going to be interesting.
Leading us into the newly constituted Canada data sets from Cliff High. Fascinating.
Oh, yeah. So the Canadian people are waking up to the illusion of what Canada is. And I've got one more slide. I'll go through.
Let's go to the third one here. Go ahead.
So interesting, speaking of Canada as well, Justin Trudeau has this eclipse. I might want to ask Janine a question about this. Okay. Justin Trudeau has this eclipse conjunct his natal Chiron, exact at 9 degrees Aries in his 8th house. This is going to likely be a difficult next year for him. His wounds coming up to the surface and possibly in a public trial. Wow. And I was looking at his astrocartography, and both Ottawa, and I know he spends a lot of time in Vancouver, British Columbia there as well. He's got 2 malefic planet lines in both of those areas that I might be wrong, but from what I see, he seems to spend the most time in. So 2 places where you could get arrested, have to go to trial, like have to go to court. So very interesting. And then also Bill Gates, another one of our favorite guys, has this eclipse conjunct his natal moon at 8 degrees Aries. So it's 1 degree off of being exact. In his 10th house conjunct his midheaven, the top of his chart. Bill Gates, this is very interesting. He will very much be in the public eye for some reason. He has several challenging aspects going on at the moment as well. So I don't know if this is, Janine, if you wouldn't mind one card pull we could do, or two different card pulls we can do on these two characters.
How do you feel for energy? Do you have time for two, Janine?
Yeah, two. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do. So ask the question specifically, Meg, for Janine on Justin Trudeau. How do you want to frame the question? And then we'll ask her we'll do another poll on Bill Gates after.
Okay. Is Justin Trudeau going to be, I guess is the right word, tried for something in public court over the course of the next year?
Okay.
Okay, just for fun, I'm going to add that both these characters potentially could have been born female, just saying. Right. Certainly Bill Gates.
We'll talk about the brands here for both of these individuals.
Brands, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about the brand. Yeah.
It's really interesting that didn't I get a woman gets publicly arrested?
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah. Anyway, somebody big in the cabal.
Yeah.
Both these characters could be in that place.
Huh. Well, in the States now, like whether or not Trump is successful in rescinding the pardons for the Biden family, that could lead in some criminal prosecutions on that side of things too. And what he's alluding to with the election also, we might see some of these things happening in the States. And if we do see them in the States, that connects to Canada. There were some Dominion machines also here in Toronto. Presumably, if you listen to people like 107, they were very much involved in that 2020 election. So it could be far-reaching. On top of that, he's done other things that could result in criminal investigations that the RCMP appears to have been putting on the side for the last number of years. So we'll see. Okay, Janine, what do you see in the card poll? Let me bring that up for the audience. Go ahead.
I say it's a really big possibility. This is a soft yes. And here we've got something coming to roost, like she's waiting and anticipating. So this could have been already agreed in the past. So I feel like the brand of this Trump is already anticipating it. In other words, it's not, Justin Trudeau. I don't think it's like real where the actual guy gets rounded up. I feel like they might round up the guy playing him though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the death card here tells me, a lot of the stuff we're going to see already happened. Okay. And then here we've got the King of Wands, and it looks really public too, because that's a public card. How does August sound? Is that because this is justice in August justice?
That's interesting, because August is when we have July and August, Saturn, Neptune conjunct, not exact, but that's when they start to go into Aries together, shattering the systems and structures of our matrix. So this summer is going to be a wild ride of so many things being revealed at the same time and people's perceptions just being completely rocked.
Cliff High keeps calling it the hot days of summer. And again, looking at that spike here in the high 90s and 80s for the emotional tensions for July and August, it's going to be a hot summer. You're absolutely right. Wow. Okay. Let me go back to the chart to refresh your mind. How do you want to ask the question about Bill Gates here? For Bill Gates, of course, there's the obvious, the mRNA stuff. There's also perhaps the farmland, some of that as well with the anti-GMO movement and making America the new breadbasket of the world type of speak type of thing. Anyways, you know what I'm getting at. Where do you want to go with this one, Meg?
Maybe, Janine, if you're okay with it, looking at Bill Gates kind of in general for the next year ahead, what can we expect?
Okay.
Yeah.
It might be more than one thing, as it is happening for him at the top house, the 10th house. So that could be like very far reaching, different things happening at the same time. So, yeah.
That'll be interesting, because for a lot of the normies, when I have conversations about this, they still very much think that this guy is a hero on many fronts. And so that's like, okay, So anything that could happen at that level would be shattering to that worldview in a big way.
Mm.
Okay, so we've got a badly aspected party substance card thing going on.
Mhm.
Things like that have long. So this guy's been held up. I feel like he's been behind bars for a really long time. Publicly a soft yes. So as being as or new direction publicly. People are going to take a new direction, or they're going to start directing your attention to his misdeeds, his Dr. Death kind of deeds. Like, so he's right now, he might have a tiny bit of, there's still people thinking he's a hero. That's not going to last through the year. That's for sure. This is our Dr. Death card, especially badly aspected. And a lot of his really dark, dirty deeds come out. And yeah, he could even be publicly rounded up, where they round him up with the good military, what I call the good, so a military roundup.
And again, we're talking about his brand here. People are saying, "Hey, I heard he was taken out in India." Yeah, perhaps. So we're talking about the brand here again. So
Yeah.
wow,
Because they replaced him with somebody else then.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he did a whole bunch of more dirty deeds.
Yeah.
And then I think the alliance, good military, rounded him up at some point, maybe 2017, 2018, 2019. Actually, after Jean-Claude and I got together on shows, we started seeing right about the time he was announcing a divorce, it started looking like he'd capitulated and went crawling over to the White Hats trying to save his skin, and was giving up and singing like a bird, actually. Remember that, Jean-Claude?
Yeah, there was a changeover at the time in energy. Yeah.
Right. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about what people are going to see.
Right.
Right. So the brands of these people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, he seems to be at least outed and possibly even publicly rounded up. So I feel like it's a yes for both of these very potentially.
Okay. Now, Meg, did I ask you what you think is happening in April and why the energy seems to be spiking? So Janine kind of went into some of the details, but just in terms of the astrology, what's happening to suggest here that April is a big month, emotionally speaking, here for the planet?
Wow. Well, we have multiple things, again, all happening at the same time. We're starting April. March has 31 days, right? Not 30 days.
31 days, yeah.
31 days, yeah. So Sunday, March 30th, Neptune goes into Aries. So April is going to be the first full Gregorian month that we have Neptune in Aries since 1875. Neptune in Aries is going to be, I was kind of sharing with you, JC, before we went live. Neptune is the planet of spirituality, compassion, creativity, also high sensitivity. It's the ruling planet of Pisces. We've had Neptune in very sensitive, dreamy Pisces since 2013, going into Aries, going to bring us more into the present moment and out of this fog. And with us being under the influence of that Aries eclipse on the 29th, emotions really coming to the surface that have been suppressed. Mm-hmm. So I think that might be some of that spike that's coming up. And for a lot of people, it will be anger, resentment, frustration. Then once we get out of the eclipse season, going into the end of Aries season, Taurus season, we've still got really intense aspects going on. Mars opposite Pluto, Sun square Pluto. Taurus season is not going to be a calm one after the Aries season. And it's not going to be until Gemini season that we get a little bit of a reprieve. Also, there's going to be a full moon in Libra in an opposition to Chiron, April 12th. So basically every aspect of our life is being tested. Libra,
a lot of tension
in ourself, in what we've allowed. And I keep hearing spirit say on the ancestral level, like possibly being even a little upset at our ancestors and what was allowed back then so that we were being able to be programmed now, mad at ourselves for what we've allowed to happen to ourselves, to loved ones in our life, in relationships as well with the full moon in Libra. So if many of you guys are having multiple very intense endings going on at this time in the course of the next month, you're not crazy. That's like very much in alignment with the astrology. And a feeling of like you're actually in the present moment with feelings that you've had, that can be coming up as well. So it's intense.
Wow. Okay. So looking at the Webbot data, it seems to be tumultuous, to say the least, here coming up for this year. The astrology is also picking up on that. The emotional values I just showed you on the chart seems to be picking up on that. So in astrology, of course, knowing your transits kind of helps you navigate all of this stuff, right? To know which alignments are where, which house is focused on, and knowing that ahead of time kind of helps you kind of navigate. Now, on top of that, you've just put up a new workshop on the Academy now about astrocartography, how geographically where you're positioned when those alignments are hitting your personal houses makes a big difference as well. And that's an added tool now on how to navigate all of this stuff. So can you explain it very quickly? What is astrocartography? And maybe give the audience here a couple of examples. You talked about Trudeau for Vancouver and Ottawa earlier. I don't know if you have other slides or if you want to show us some graphics, but share with the audience members why this is so important and so cool to use perhaps at this time right now where we need all the help we can get to better navigate this crazy, crazy world of ours. Meg.
Yeah, definitely. Well, okay, to very quickly explain astrocartography. Oh my God, that's a tongue twister. That's a little hard to do, but I'll just say very briefly that astrocartography is an astrological method that was developed by a late and great astrologer called Jim Lewis, where we put it's a little bit technical, but it's different for every person. Based on your birth chart, you have planetary lines and parent lines and aspects over the world's map. So everywhere on the planet is within influence of actually a planetary energy. So there's places that are really positive and supportive for you to be. And then there's places where we want to be really mindful and maybe even watch out to go to. And the reason why I think this workshop is really in alignment right now is because we're in Pluto in Aquarius transit full on since November 19th, 2024. And every time we have Pluto in Aquarius, every around 240 years, there's mass migration of population and mass people moving to sometimes even completely different places. And I'm seeing it in my personal readings the whole past year. I've been seeing it since Pluto went into Aquarius on and off. So I feel like this is very important right now. We can not only use the astrology with our birth chart and our transits, but in the astrocartography. So I'll share a couple examples with you guys that are really, really fascinating.
Okay.
Why can't my...
Let me add it to... Oh,
I think it's showing something's popping up, JC, that you... Oh.
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
This thing has been acting wonky all week. I was with Cliff the other day too, and I was trying to play stuff, and it would bring me the screen, but nothing was playing, but we could hear it. It was like, I don't know, Mercury retrograde. Anyways, okay, we got it on the screen now.
Yeah, Mercury retrograde. So what we've got up here, I'll actually zoom out for a sec so you guys can see what it looks like zoomed out. So this is an astrocartography chart, and this is Donald Trump's astrocartography chart. And we've got several different lines over the world's map. There's also aspects. I'm not going to bring those up because I don't want to overwhelm you guys, and parent lines. But what I want to show you guys, really, really interesting, Trump has a Mars line, okay, which is the planet of conflict, war, can even be associated with enemies at times, strife, tension, Mars going right in influence of Washington, D.C., the swamp. Now, Trump is very lucky. Now, it does depend in astrocartography, actually, how the planet is placed in your birth chart. So I'll tell you guys right now, if Trump had a weak Mars in his birth chart, he already would have been dead, having Mars near Washington. But in his birth chart, he actually has a pretty powerful, positively placed Mars, where, yeah, there's tension. It's a Mars line right within influence of Washington, D.C. He's been demonized and vilified, and it's nonstop. The whole time he's there, it's a war. Mars, it's a conflict the whole time he's in Washington, right? But he's going to be okay there in the end, I think, astrologically. So that's wherever we have Mars lines, as an example, they can be places of conflict and tension, and we can feel frustrated. Trump probably doesn't feel good in Washington. There's maybe parts of it that he likes,
Right.
to be the president, and he gets to be in the White House, but he probably doesn't feel super calm and is probably like impatient. That can also lead to sometimes he says, things that can seem really off the cuff, really almost Aries like, how Aries just say sometimes whatever they think. That really comes out for Trump when he's in Washington. That's an example there.
Before you give another example, can I take a sidebar on Trump just a moment?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
you mentioned this Mars line going right into DC. The Simpsons also predicted Trump's passing on April 12, 2025. So this was Nino doing a video on that earlier today. Can we poll on this, Janine? Is there going to be maybe another assassination attempt? Is it thwarted? Like, what's going on April 12th, 2025? The Simpsons have been right on a lot of things in the past, predicting some weird and oftentimes catastrophic events, including 9/11. So let's do a poll on this one, Janine. And then we'll get back to more astrocartography examples for you guys. All right.
Wow. I feel like there'll be a big somebody will really deceive him, or it'll appear anyway to others, like a really big deception or like a stab in the heart. So that could literally be, but it could also be, because these are minor arcanas, it could be more like a really big deception. Somebody's deceived them or really stabbed him in the back, kind of thing.
Or could it be the Jason Ford dream where we think he's in a helicopter that crashes, but he wasn't in and he's not dead, but for a while we think he's dead?
Okay, the bottom line looks like that.
Wow.
Okay, so we might even find out that 2 days go by before, or hours at least, and we think he's dead. So he seems dead for a while, but then he's not. That could be, yeah. But I feel like we might even find out who done it, and or it's quickly obvious that it was something they rigged. Like I think the White Hats will rig the whole thing, but it'll appear to people that somebody did this to him. They rigged his helicopter, rigged his plane, rigged his whatever takes him to this place. Somebody close to him deceived him. This is how it'll appear. And it leads to a couple of hours or days of everybody holding their breath, thinking he died or don't know for sure. That's a big possibility there.
That's crazy. And the other crazy thing, Calypso 922, April 12th was the sinking of the Titanic. Wow. Well, all of these emotional values, Cliff mentioned that in the show the other day, they're almost at the same level for April as they were in Butler, PA, when we had the first assassination. Well, not the first. I think it was the 8th assassination attempt by our count. At any rate, we seem to be in that territory of emotional values. Now, I want to take a quick sidebar also before we get into more examples, Meg, about this Titanic sinking thing. This relates directly to the Federal Reserve and to the banking system in the United States. Could it be that April 12th here, we have a huge shock that circles back all the way to the creation of the of the Federal Reserve here, and perhaps a new changeover in our financial system? And that's also why people are going to be emotionally upset here in April. Do you want to do a poll on that, Janine?
Yep, because all of this could be the death of something else. And that you believe everything's crashed, and there's a couple of days where it all looks really bad, but then a new system comes up from the back end. Like we've been saying for a really long time, there's already likely a new sort of gold-backed, system ready to go here, or maybe even working side by side.
Well, you don't need to pull them. That poll actually worked for both.
That's what that feels like. Yeah, I feel like we could be looking at either both those things all at once, or one of those two things. Yeah.
Crazy. Okay, Meg, you're back up. Let me see if I can get this chart to work here. No, I can't do it again. That's so weird. Remove this one, maybe.
I agree with that comment, Jean-Claude. That comment was great question. Like thank goodness you're overseeing and asking, and Meg, you too, because yeah, it just helps me, get to the bottom of these things. I really appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And whether it was the 12th or the 14th for the Titanic, you get my point. We're in the month of April here, and a lot of alignments are kind of recurring for us, and they could be spelling some big changes. At least that's what the astrology is telling us. Okay, more examples of astrocartography. Mick.
Yeah. So one more kind of intense example, and then we'll do a positive example to finish.
Okay.
So JFK. This is JFK's astrocartography. And we know, of course, that he was, my mouse shows if I go like that. We know that he was assassinated in Dallas, Texas, right? And he's got a Chiron line directly going through Dallas, Texas, and a Pluto line, the planet of death and assassination, right within range, very close to Dallas. So it is within range. So, one of my astrology teachers, Carolyn Lover, she always says, never go to your Pluto line. I think that's a little bit intense because some Pluto lines, depending on how it is in the chart, can be actually positive and beneficial. But this stuff is real, you guys. A lot of people that have been assassinated, they've been assassinated literally on their Pluto lines, or like JFK, right within range of their Pluto line. So that's an example there. And then my last example, let me bring this up here, is one that's a bit more positive, and it's actually my personal astrocartography. And here, this is dealing with an aspect line, which we'll get into. The workshop that I'm going to do on Sunday, April 13th, is going to be beginners. So anyone can take it, whether you're an astrology newbie or an advanced astrologer as well. We won't get into the aspects until we do like a part 2 or a part 3. But very interesting that literally right where my husband Jens is from in Belgium, I have a Venus aspect line going through. So that I, can meet a lover there, or that my lover, Jens, is from that place.
Wow, very cool.
And most places on the world's map don't have a line directly running through. So how crazy is it? Literally exactly where he's from, this area of Bruges, I have a Venus line going through.
That's fascinating. Really cool.
So, yeah, it's cool to look all this stuff up, and it'll blow your minds, you guys. When you think about different places you've traveled to, some places that maybe weren't so good, or some places that
that's probably a good idea too for people. It's not just mass migration, but people who might want to travel. I mean, we were in lockdown for many years. We feel now maybe, we want to travel again. Looking at this kind of gives us a heads up also to the destinations that we're thinking about, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's part of Pluto and Aquarius too, and we've talked about this before, the three of us, there's going to be huge advancements to travel, where it won't be taking as long as it does now to go to really foreign places. It'll become a lot easier to do far distance travel. So a lot more of us will be traveling on a regular basis if we want to.
Dude, if you guys haven't seen Penny Kelly's presentation, a keynote presentation on the Sunday night, what was it called? Consciousness and Becoming a New Human. She talked about all of this new travel that's just around the corner, literally speaking. That was a fascinating keynote. So people are debating in the live chat, was it April 12 or 14? It was April 14 for the Titanic sinking. And Hitler thinks birthday is April 20th. So a lot of weird stuff happening in April. And really cool. So Meg, you just mentioned, so people can log in now for the workshop, sign up. You're going live this Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern?
Sunday. Sunday, April 13th.
Okay, so people still have a week to sign up here. Yeah. AstroMap10 is a coupon code to get 10% off. And typically your workshops are pretty thorough, pretty long. How long do you expect this one to be here? And how inclusive is it going to be?
I have no idea. The last one was 3.5 hours. The one before that, I think, was 5 hours. They range between 3.5 to 5 hours. Once I get going, I can't stop, you guys. And I love to share so much information. You're going to get the notes as well. So I try to make it as easy to follow as possible. But if you listen to it for the first time, you're like, what the heck is Meg talking about? You have unlimited access to listen to the workshop over and over, and you get access to my personal notes as well.
Right, and the community also sharing notes and examples. So you learn from each other. That's great. Okay, guys, check it out at beyondmystic.academy. While you're there, also please take advantage of the 50% off coupon code here for the On the Replay Beyond Mystic conference reel that has about $700 worth of keynotes, workshops, and presentations throughout the weekend. You don't want to miss that. I think that one has 3 days left on that coupon code, so please do go check it out on the Academy page. All right. So April is go time. So Meg, let me ask you first, just general words of wisdom. You're getting, of course, your book with astrology readings here for the next number of months. And you're probably getting a lot of trepidation as you're doing your personal readings right now. What seems to be the theme, what people are asking for right now? And what's the general advice to deal with what seems to be coming up through your readings right now?
Yeah, well, I did just add about 10 to 15 readings for May, if anybody wants to book in with me for May before. I'm almost fully booked out until September now, so you can book in an astrocartography or transits for May if anybody would like to, or after that too. What was the question that you just said, JC? Advice for these times?
Oh, that's a good point. Before you get into the advice, we just launched this earlier today too. So on top of the workshop, if you have something more specific right now, you're going on a trip, you're considering moving, you're buying another house and all that stuff, please do consider doing a one-on-one with Meg for the astrocartography reading itself. We just introduced the product earlier today, so it's available for you now. And you're saying that you have availabilities into May. Is that correct?
Yeah,
okay, perfect.
Some new availability.
So there you go, consultations.beyondmystic.net. And if you use coupon code BeyondMystic in one word, you get 10% off there as well. Okay, so Meg, advice now, moving into April for the collective.
Yeah, it's going to be intense for the whole next, definitely year, but in particular, rest of March, April. And what I'm feeling to say right now is remember to love yourself and be gentle with yourself, because many of us can have many intense things all coming up at the same time where we may be feeling like, am I in alignment? What's going on? Is there something wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. We're going through the biggest purge I think we've gone through in humanity, like possibly of all time, entering this age of Aquarius, entering this golden age, really. So remember to be easy on yourself. John Dizzle in the chat says, breathe, take it easy. Don't take things personally from others. That can be really hard when it's the people closest to us, like my family that I'm visiting right now. And they think literally, like they're not even trying to bring up politics, even though it comes up a little bit, because they think I'm absolutely nuts. But when you hear things, and there can be a possible conflict too with this Mars and this Aries eclipse energy, ask yourself, okay, is this worth the fight? Okay. Right. My family member who's been, they only watch CNN, they don't have social media, they don't know any better. Is this worth the fight? No, it's not. I love them. I want to be, not that I won't speak my truth, but no, I'm not going to have a freaking fight about that for 2 hours. And then maybe we won't talk to each other for a year. Right. So just being really mindful of your own energy, loving yourself, and being patient and loving with others, because everyone has agreed to sign up to be here at these times. I really believe that. It's a blessing to be here. And everyone who's still alive has the opportunity to still wake up, so we can hold them in grace, we can hold them in love and light, and just be mindful of what's worth the fight, what's worth the conflict. When people are ready to wake up, they'll wake up.
Yeah, very good. And one last question before I let you go. Also, Meg, you were on last week. We were a couple of days after the event, still on the high of the good vibrations from the Beyond Mystic conference. Haven't not yet had integrated everything from that weekend. So now a week later, is there anything else that you want to share with the audience members in terms of that integrations, the aha moments, revelations for you, comments maybe that somebody made during a reading or throughout the weekend that hit you and just finally came back to you? What would you share with the audience?
Oh my God, I think I'm still integrating it. And I keep feeling, JC and Janine, that you and Sarah as well, and Coco and everybody on the organization team of the event, it's so important to be doing these in-person events. And I'm so proud of everyone that came to the event. I heard from quite a few people that they felt a little bit trepidatious, a little bit nervous. They didn't know anyone. And everyone that I've talked to since the event, whether it's online or clients that did come to the event, they loved it. They're so happy that they came. They had such a good time. They made lifelong friends that feel like they've known each other their whole lives.
Yeah.
So I'm just so happy and proud of everyone that actually showed up. I'm still integrating the energy, and I do feel like I'm still high on the energy. And I do feel like there's going to be another one sooner than later. I don't mean to speak out of line, JC, but I feel like we're going to be together again in person, and I'm just so excited for that because it's important for us.
Yeah, absolutely. We made magic happen, everyone together. Absolutely agree. Thank you, Meg, for that, and thank you also for the slides, and thank you also for somebody was saying in the chat, you're a very good instructor. Yes, for being a very good instructor on the Academy. So guys, please do go check it out at beyondmystic.academy for the workshop. And if you want a personal reading, also you can find her on the consultation page here at beyondmystic.net. Janine, how about you? You want to do from the heart? You want to pull from the cards? Advice moving forward? What do you think?
Yeah, first I want to comment on how do you say it?
Astrocartography.
Cartography. Yeah. I had somebody do it quite a while ago for myself, and it was brilliantly accurate. Like, I gotta say, it was fascinating to find out all of these different places I'd lived and how they felt to be there. And then somebody actually describes to me, that's how I'm going to feel there. It was dead on for everything. A big place I'm supposed to start visiting right about now. So it's I'm turning 64 May 1st. So I'm moving into the time they were saying by 65, I probably want to make a lot of trips to New York. So I've never been, so I'm super stoked to do that. I'm going to have to check that out. Also, Turkey is where my big soulmate supposedly is. So that's interesting. My Venus line, something about Turkey, goes right through someplace in Turkey. So that's fascinating. Like, there's all of these things. And to me, it's like, it was the most fascinating, accurate read. Like, it's just another way to know yourself. It's just fascinating. Anyway.
Fascinating. Yeah, I agree. I've had it done also maybe 10 years ago. And a lot of things were very accurate, both for travel and for work at the time, and partners in work. And it was, again, it's just another tool to add to your toolkit with all of the crazy stuff happening. You can't have enough tools to navigate this crazy woo. Beyond Mystic definitely make magic happen. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Janine, speaking of Turkey, I kind of want to do a tour, a Beyond Mystic tour to Göbekli Tepe. So we're working on the Egyptian tour right now with the pyramids, but Göbekli Tepe might be in the cards for us, Janine. So who knows? you might find your lover there as well. So that'd be cool. The Beyond Mystic family will set the stage for you there. That'd be cool.
I'm a late bloomer, guys. I'm a late bloomer.
Right. Oh, it's never too late, Janine. All right. So energies, how to navigate advice here moving forward in April.
In April. Okay. So lots of energy, harnessing the energy, because all of that fire energy is going to rile you right up. And so I would agree with people that are gym goers. You better be going to the gym. People that like to dance around the house, you better be moving. So shift and move the energy, or just get busy doing stuff, even creative projects. If you're not one to you got bad knees and joints like I do, you might want to put all that creative energy into something creative, like get out the canvases or I like to play really loud music too. Somehow that I have a Venus in Aries, so I play all of my 70s rock. I know I'm old school, but I love it. 60s, 70s, not even 80s. 80s is too advanced for me. I like the 60s and 70s.
Did I tell you that Sarah and I are going to go see Heart? Do you like
Heart?
Heart?
Yeah, fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, So here we've got the 7 of Cups. Okay, don't take things personally. I agree. And Meg mentioned that I think, Jean-Claude, you might have mentioned that as well. Being really careful because people could really disappoint you. Aries behavior can be disappointing sometimes if it's badly aspected. Like if it's somebody who's maybe not, like they're not thinking before they're talking sometimes. Okay, so they might blurt things out that just could be really offensive, step all over your toes. You know what I mean? So you have to get over it quickly because you got to think like an Aries with all these Aries aspects. Think like an Aries. They get over stuff really fast. They forget all about, what was I even fighting about? What was I mad at you about? Like, that's a good way to approach it, right? And even have a laugh about it. Okay, because you can burst out laughing in the middle of having that Aries response, like you're in there fighting it out and then just burst out laughing in the middle. Like that'll be really I think helpful. Okay, so here we've got the 8, and wait a while before you hear things. Okay, when you hear new information that seems right out of left field, give it some hours before you, maybe if it's totally out of left field, be tentative with it, feel it out, sit with it for a bit, and maybe don't right away take it for true. You know what I mean? Really look into and research, where did that come from? If it's really different than what you're used to, because I feel like there could be some people just jumping in with stuff before thinking about it and then sharing it, and it could all turn out to be BS.
Crazy. Well, that's great advice. Thank you, Janine, for that. Meg, I see you're pulling up something from Egypt. You want to share that before we go?
Kim nhãn điêu đã bị chết. Hồng nương tử cũng là từ nhỏ trèo đèo lội suối, quen sống ở trong núi. Chỉ hơi đánh giá nàng liền chọn trúng nơi này. Đây là nơi có thể nhìn thấy rõ ràng hít thải trên cầu nhất, lại không dễ bị người ta phát hiện. Vì thế nàng liền từ trong rừng lặng yên đến đây. Nàng thầm nghĩ trộm lén nhìn mặt hắn, sau đó lại lén chạy trở về. Gần đến chỗ nham thạch, nhìn thấy trên đá có người, Hồng nương tử phản ứng đầu tiên chính là khẩn trương né ra. Bởi vì chuyện nữ nhi của mình làm sao mà cho người khác biết, làm sao mà lại nhìn để người khác nhìn thấy được. Nhưng nàng nhìn thấy trong tay người kia có cung, trên lưng có tiễn, chậm rãi di chuyển về hướng vách đá. Ẩn giấu ở cái nơi này, tay cầm cường cung, mũi tên nhọn, hắn muốn giết ai? Hồng nương tử vừa nghĩ đến đây, cũng không suy nghĩ nhiều, lập tức thi triển khinh công thủa nhỏ luyện tập vào núi non trùng điệp, chân không dính bụi bay vút qua đó. Nàng cũng không muốn giết Kim Nhãn Điêu, tuy rằng cái tên khốn đáng chết một vạn lần này suýt nữa thì đã thương Dương Lăng. Có điều nếu đã đến kịp thời, Dương Lăng không việc gì, giết chết Kim Nhãn Điêu là người trong sơn trại coi như không có lập trường rồi. Bề tài của Kim Nhãn Điêu một thân thần lực. Thôi Bạch Nhi quyết định bắt y sau khi trở về, không đợi cầu xin, lập tức gán tội vi phạm sơn quy, phế đi 2 cánh tay của y. Không ngờ người không có ý giết Điêu, Điêu lại muốn mổ lòng người. Đám người Lý Hoa tuy là hồ ở Trung Điểu Sơn, nhưng sau khi đám người trên vai Hồng Nương Tử đến đây, bất kỳ một thế lực nào cũng đều lớn hơn bọn họ, sớm biến thành 3 phái. Triều Toại lấy danh nghĩa quân tự xưng. Hiện tại tự mình chạy tới hành thích ám sát, tiến hình lão hồ, Triệu Toại một đám chủ soái vào thế bất nghĩa. Triệu Toại chỉ quân lại, xưa nay chú ý quân quý, có thể tha được cho mình sao? Thêm nữa, một khi nghị hòa thành công, ai sẽ quan tâm lợi ích của đám thổ phỉ trên Trung Điểu Sơn nữa? Bọn họ không bị Bồ Gia và Cơ Gia, 2 nhà quyền quý dân Tây này giết chết mới là lạ. Vừa nghĩ đến đây, Kim Nhãn Điêu chân này sinh ác niệm. Người trong võ lâm quyền thuật chú ý tránh chỗ thực, tìm chỗ hư, thân pháp phối hợp. Kẽ hở nham thạch này, bọn họ loay hoay cũng không mở ra được. Mình thần lực vô cùng, Hồng Nương Tử danh khí tuy lớn, rốt cuộc cũng là tiểu mỹ nhân yểu điệu, có thể có bao nhiêu khí lực, không bằng một phen bóp chết nàng ta. Thần không biết quỷ không hay, vừa có thể hoàn thành mệnh lệnh của đại ca, cũng sẽ không bị người khác phát hiện. Kim Nhãn Điêu nghĩ đến liền làm, quên mất người có cơ bắp vạm vỡ đều có đai gân, cũng có huyệt đạo. Khi bị cao thủ có chỉ lực siêu quần công kích sẽ bị tê liệt, không có sức lực. Cho nên người trên đời có thể dùng được ngũ thạch cung lại mất đi một rồi. Hồng Nương Tử thay thế vị trí Kim Nhãn Điêu, nàng cũng đang dùng tiễn ngắm chuẩn lấy Dương Lăng. Dùng ánh mắt chỉ có ở nơi này mới có thể không kiêng nể gì, chính là biểu hiện tình ý yêu say đắm của mình, phóng ra mũi tên tình cảm du dương. Ánh mặt trời từ trên cây cỏ xanh chiếu xuống, chiếu vào khuôn mặt diễm lệ hao gầy kia. Nhìn bóng dáng Dương Lăng dần xa khuất một cách si tình, ánh nhìn quyến luyến vẫn đuổi theo, đuổi đến khi thân mình hắn hoàn toàn bị người khác che khuất. Người đẹp như trăng như tuyết, nhẫn nại sát bánh tà dương thanh thu, cùng chung trăng sáng dáng cô bồng, cùng chân trời với Lăng Quân, khí nước hồ kiếm như cầu vồng, cười nhìn mây nhẹ gió thanh, ngư dương trêu đùa, già khuyến khích, giáo dài hét gió tây. 2 tròng mắt nhẹ nhàng hợp nhiễu, lông mi xinh đẹp chỉnh tề hơi hơi nháy mắt động lên, 2 dòng nước mắt lặng lẽ chảy xuống, rơi vào dưới chốn vực sâu không người. Nàng xoay người, bóng dáng thản nhiên nhảy nhẹ nhàng, chớp mắt chợt lóe lên, nhập vào núi rừng rậm rạp. Trên tảng đá, Kim Nhãn Điêu ngửa mặt nhìn trời. Dưới ánh mặt trời chỉ có một đôi con ngươi còn mơ hồ lộ ra một chút sáng bóng. Không trung đang có một con điêu xoay quanh. Đông Hoa Sơn rơi vào khoảng bình yên tạm thời. Nhưng tin tức từ Tam Hạ báo về, quan binh ở ngoại vi không ngừng điều động quân đội, đóng quân trọng binh ở các nơi cơ ải hiểm yếu, xây dựng công sự, thiết lập khu vực phòng thủ, hiển nhiên đang chuẩn bị chiêng trống dùm beng để tiến đánh. Triệu Phong Tử đang không ngừng do dự giữa tiếp nhận chiêu an, phá vây, chạy xuống hướng Giang Nam. Lời nói của Dương Lăng giống như là thương kích, thật đã chọc trúng chỗ yếu của gã. Suy trước tính sau, Triệu Phong Tử vốn kiên quyết phản ý, thậm chí một chút dạ tâm bắt đầu nảy sinh kia cũng tan thành mây khói. Lực lượng nhân mã trung kiên của hắn đến từ phái của Lưu Lục, mà những gì Lưu Lục đã làm chưa có một chút chí hướng lớn nào, làm sao giống người có thể thành đại sự. Nhưng do lực lượng nhân mã chủ yếu của mình có khuynh hướng về họ Lưu, đã căn bản không thể cắt đứt mối liên hệ với Lưu Lục. Trong mấy con đường dường như lựa chọn duy nhất chỉ có nhận chiêu an. Nhưng như Hình Lão Hổ, Phong Đôi, bọn họ đồng ý sao? Bóng đêm xuống, con dế mèn không sợ làm phiền người khác kêu to chi chi. Ngẫu nhiên có đom đóm ở bóng cây bay lượn cuộn ra một đám quần sáng mê ly. Hồng Nương Tử nhìn chằm chằm đom đóm một cách xuất thần, ánh mắt cũng có chút mơ màng rồi. Ánh mắt của Lý Hoa cũng có chút mơ màng, chỉ có điều phần gai gắt dưới đôi mày rậm khi mơ màng có chút hơi ngây ngô, không mỹ cảm như là đôi mắt quyến rũ linh hoạt của Thôi Oanh Nhi. Cuộc đàm phán trên cầu bình yên chấm dứt, đầu cuối chưa từng xuất hiện một chút nhiễu loạn nào. Là y biết Lão Tam đã xảy ra vấn đề, vốn sau khi trở về muốn gọi gã tới để hỏi rõ ràng, không ngờ Kim Nhãn Điêu lại như là chim phi xa ngút ngàn dặm, từ đó không bóng dáng. Trong lòng Lý Hoa hoảng hốt, lại lệnh nhị đệ Chu Bàn dẫn người lặng lẽ tuần sơn, tra tìm xung quanh tung tích của gã. Nhưng hiện giờ đã là buổi tối ngày hôm sau, vẫn không có tin tức gì. Y âm thầm quan sát Hình Lão Hổ, thần sắc đám người triệu thoại cũng không nhìn ra chút gì khác thường, chắc là không biết chút nào đối với chuyện này. Hơn nữa, hôm nay nghị sự vẫn coi y như là thủ lĩnh một phương mà mời đến, căn bản chưa từng khiển trách, cũng không giống như đã biết chuyện y ngấm ngầm ra tay. Lý Hoa nghĩ bể đầu cũng nghĩ không ra Lão Tam đi đâu, tâm khó tránh khỏi một chút hoảng hốt, người có thể đi chỗ nào đây? Dù sao lấy thân thủ săn bắn điêu luyện trong núi từ thuở nhỏ của Lão Tam, sẽ không cẩn thận mà trượt chân tự mình rớt xuống vách núi chứ. Còn những lời nói của Dương Lăng kia cũng khiến Lý Hoa trở nên tính toán. Đám người Lưu Lục Dương Hổ này không giống người thành đại sự, không thể theo đám hòn đảo đi Giang Nam, đó là tự tìm đường chết. Nhưng rõ ràng giải tán cũng không được. Hình Lão Hổ, Triệu Phong Tử không phải là ngọn đèn cạn dầu, bọn họ nếu muốn đi, Lão Tử phải nghĩ biện pháp dỡ đường lên. Lẻn đi Sơn Tây là nơi trốn núi, chắc chắn có nơi dùng cho ta sống tiêu dao. Triệu Toại nhìn hai người nghĩ như là muốn xuất thần, hơi hơi nhíu mày. Hồng Nương Tử đã đem sự tình Kim Nhãn Điêu nói cho y nghe. Triệu Phong Tử nghe xong lập tức sai nhị đệ Triệu Phan mang theo vài tên tâm phúc đi xử lý thi thể, cũng nghiêm dặn bảo Hồng Nương Tử không thể nói ra việc này. Nghị hòa một khi không thành sẽ có một phen đại chiến. Lúc này tuyệt đối không để nội bộ bất hòa lại xảy ra tranh chấp. Chuyện này chỉ có thể hồ đồ nhất thời. Gã không hiểu chính là thời khắc sống còn Hồng Nương Tử sao cũng là một bộ dạng mất hồn mất vía thế kia. Đây là Dương Quá Hổ đại danh đình đình hay sao? Triệu Toại lắc đầu, lại nhìn hướng Hình Lão Hổ. Hình Lão Hổ vỗ về ngực đang không ngừng ho khan. Qua hồi lâu lắm thở hổn hển nói: Triệu Phó Nguyên Soái, ý kiến của ngươi thì sao? Ngươi muốn lựa chọn tiếp nhận chiêu an? Triệu Toại thành khẩn nói: Không, ra đi. Cố tù hoặc là tiếp nhận chiêu an cũng là vì tìm một con đường ra cho các huynh đệ. Những lời vừa rồi đó chỉ là phân tích của ta. Rốt cuộc lựa chọn như thế nào, ta nghe lời người. Hình Lão Hổ im lặng sau một lúc lâu mới nhẹ nhàng thở dài nói: Triệu huynh đệ, ngươi vốn là tú tài, nhà có ruộng tốt, phòng có kiều thế, là Lưu đại ca kiên quyết ngươi kéo vào cái đám này. Nói vậy ngươi ban đầu là chút không tình nguyện, tuy nhiên lão Lưu đồ đại bên ngươi không tệ, từ khi ngươi nhập bọn liền càng tín nhiệm ngươi, cho ngươi độc lĩnh một nhánh đại quân. Ngươi đề nghị phân minh phát triển, hắn cũng không do dự. Ta chỉ hỏi ngươi một câu, chúng ta thật có hy vọng không? Lưu Lục thực sự đáng cho ngươi phò tá không? Triệu Toại nhìn phía Hình Lão Hổ, sau một lúc lâu thì không nói một lời. Hình Lão Hổ lại nói: Dương Lang nói có lẽ có đạo lý. Ta đọc qua một ít sách, lại không học vấn không nghề nghiệp, là người thô kệch. Ta chỉ biết nếu là chúng ta thực sự như vậy, không chịu nổi một kích, hắn đừng là quốc công gia, làm gì người có địa vị cao này đầu hàng nhân nhượng trước người có địa vị thấp chạy đến Trung Điều Sơn chiêu an. Không sai, Dương Hổ ở Sơn Đông đích xác đại bại, hơn nữa 10 vạn đại quân tổn thất qua bán, quan binh thương vong lại cực kỳ bé nhỏ. Nhưng sau lại thăm dò nghe được tin tức, nghe nói là trong quân hỏa dược cố ý bùng nổ, làm cho chiến mã phá doanh trại tự dẫm lên nhau, tử thương vô số, không phải do quan binh tấn công. Nếu không Sơn Đông chiến sự thắng bại như thế nào, ta xem còn không thể biết đâu. Dùng một trận chiến này liền có thể luận thành bại, luận anh hùng. Lông mày rậm của ông ta nhướng lên, Tuy rằng về mặt thần sắc có bệnh, vẫn lộ ra khí khái ngạo mạn, dũng cảm. Từ xưa người thành bá nghiệp cũng đâu có thuận buồm xuôi gió. Thời điểm bọn họ thất bại, đánh cho bên người chỉ còn lại hơn trăm người, cuối cùng vẫn trình đốn hàng ngũ lật ngược thế cờ sao? Ta cũng không tin. Trên Đông Hoa Sơn có 5 vạn tinh binh, Lưu Lục, Dương Hồ, Giang Nam cũng có 5-6 vạn người, sẽ giống như là Dương Lăng hắn nói, không chịu nổi như vậy ư? Triệu Tài nhắm mắt lại, thở dài trong lòng một tiếng. Xem ra Hình Lão Hồ vẫn là kiên trì ý kiến của mình, ý muốn nghị hòa như vậy từ bỏ rồi. Gã đột nhiên mở hai mắt ra, trầm giọng nói: như vậy đại nguyên soái muốn thủ vững Trung Điều Sơn, hay là muốn phá vây Nam hướng thẳng đến Trung Nguyên? Hình Lão Hổ nói: người nói rất đúng. Chúng ta 5 vạn binh mã, nếu theo nơi hiểm yếu mà thủ, quan binh chưa chắc công được đến. Nhưng nơi hiểm yếu có thể giúp bọn ta, Thiên Uy cũng có thể giết ta. Sợ nhất chính là mùa đông. Chúng ta hiện tại lương thảo không đủ. Nếu Dương Lăng phong tỏa núi, mùa đông đến, 1/3 chúng ta đói lạnh mà chết. Như vậy người còn lại cũng không cần đánh, chỉ có thể bó tay chịu trói. Cho nên thủ chỉ có thể bảo mệnh nhất thời, kỳ thực là con đường chết. Hình Lão Hổ một mạch nói dài như vậy, thời thờ hồn hển mấy cái mới nói: khi Hình Lão Hổ ta và Lưu Lục Lưu Thất bọn họ kết nghĩa Kim Lan, tôi nói không thể sinh cùng năm, cùng tháng, cùng ngày, nhưng mong được chết cùng năm, cùng tháng, cùng ngày. Bọn họ chiến đấu liên tục ở các chiến trường Giang Nam, ta lại một mình tự mình mang mũ ô sa trên đầu, đầu quân cho quan phủ. Chuyện như vậy ta không làm được. Cho nên ta quyết định đi Giang Nam đánh cược một lần với đám huynh đệ thề sống thể chết. Giang Sơn này chỉ định họ Chu. Ta không tin. Lão Triệu, từ khi vào nghĩa quân, người hao hết tâm tư, trình quân sức võ. Hình Lão Hổ ta nhìn ở trong mắt, nhớ ở trong lòng. Hai vị huynh đệ của ngươi có